It's a unique situation because the match is not over yet, but for some people the atmosphere is like it's an end of one part of it.
Yes.
So today is a special day, of course, and today is a special day, as you said, because Ju Wenjun will probably want to use her white pieces and
Yes.
strike back.
And you know, this is as you said, Alik. This is the last game in Shanghai, and for Ju Wenjun, this is the last game in her home city.
So it's important not to
Yes.
lose
You
in
will-
this part, right?
You will never want to give back to the home city of your opponent.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Although it should be said that, of course, in chess, the significance of home court advantage, so-called, is not even close to other sports like if we speak about football or soccer or basketball. Of course,
Yes.
it's very different. What is more important is the white pieces here in chess.
Yes.
But still, of course, you never want to disappoint your fans, and Ju Wenjun, of course, has a great number of fans here, from all over Shanghai and the area.
Yes, and I saw a vote in an amateur group of I just in an amateur group there is a vote yesterday. After Lei Tingjie wins the game, the vote is almost 50%. Who can be the next world champion? Ju Wenjun
so
and Lei Tingjie. Yes.
And this is actually my feeling as well, that they are very well matched, both players.
Yes.
And this advantage of one point, and as we know after yesterday's game, Lei Tingjie leads the match 3 points by 3 points to 2, but there are still 7 games to go. And we already saw a few times in the match, namely game number 4, Ju Wenjun could have easily won her white
Yes.
game. So, and Lei Tingjie is looking at us. What a fantastic footage! And
Yes, I think she is good at finding camera. Yes.
and the camera loves her. She's extremely. It's very natural, beautiful expressions all the time.
Yes.
This is really a pleasure to see. Shu, I wanted to, and we see the world champion, of course, here, extremely concentrated.
Yes.
7 games is a lot of time, but it's still quite. But every game that passes, it goes. The importance of each game becomes even bigger and bigger, right? So.
And I think the energy of the last game you lost, the energy of the revenge in the next game is the most.
It's pretty. Absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. And the players start the game. No surprises so far. Ju Wenjun starts with d4, the move that she has been employing in all her white games so far.
Yes.
So this is the 3rd time she does it. You know, I wanted to say, if nice anecdote in the chat a few days ago, one of the viewers and he wrote that this is not the month of July, this is the month of July, you know, and this is really beautiful.
Yes, it's very interesting.
The whole month is about this match, and let's jump right into the action because the players have already made their moves. d4. So the world champion keeps playing her main weapon, her main opening, developing the pieces from the queen side of the board. It leads to somewhat longer, a tiny advantage, but she wants to have a positional game.
Yes.
Trying to outplay her opponent later on. But here we have a little surprise already on move 3. Ju Wenjun decides to capture the pawn on the central pawn of black, and this prevents black from being able to deploy the opening that she chose, that she went for in the first games.
Yes, and in the next game she played some d-takes c4. Yes.
Yes, and exactly. So it prevents both of the ideas that the challenger employed so far. And this shows that maybe the world champion is ready to take to accept the challenge and start winning the opening preparation, because
yes,
so far who would you say is winning the opening stage of the game?
Yes, of course is Lei Tingjie. I think only one game I remember, maybe Ju Wenjun is better in openings. And as we said yesterday, maybe Ju Wenjun success in the opening with the time control, but when I go back to home and analyze the game, I think after knight d4, it's not an equal position.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
better for
I
white.
agree with you. It looked very pleasant, although it didn't seem to be so dangerous in the beginning, but the position is not very pleasant for black indeed. So, as you said, yesterday we had this feeling that both players, there was nothing major in the opening surprise, in the surprise category, but still Lei Tingjie managed to get the advantage. And here we see that after the pawn exchange in the center, white develops her knight to c3, which is a typical move to put pressure in the center, and black strikes right in the center with this c5 pawn move.
Yes.
It should be said that for our viewers who maybe are newer to chess, that the main goal in the opening for each player is to fight for central squares, because they are extremely important, those 4 central squares and those that are next to them, and to develop our pieces, right? Because whoever manages to get control in the center will get the more pleasant game, can deploy her forces to either side of the board. So this is the opening stage is all about that, right? But sure, we are seeing something very interesting going on, and both players are blitzing their moves.
Yes, and the game especially went to a pair of bishops.
Again, well, but let's see how
Very
we got there. So first of all, black is giving up a pawn temporarily, it should be said, because now if black recaptures this pawn back on c5, then white would have the option to take to win the very important central pawn.
Yes.
And will be just a pawn up. Instead of that, black does not recapture, but she plays d4, hitting this knight on c3. Right, the knight has to move, and where can it move if not? Well, there are basically 2 moves for the knight to move.
Yes.
If we want to keep the pawn protected, I think the problem with this, and we normally would love to centralize the knight, yes?
I think knight if we don't know this opening, I think knight e4 seems more natural than
Absolutely,
knight
it looks a bit much more natural, but I believe the problem is that it can be attacked by the bishop immediately. And thus forcing it to leave either the protection of the pawn, or maybe give a check, and then black can just take twice, right, and win back the pawn.
And we can compare of the position when they played knight a4, bishop c5.
Let's see exactly. Great point.
After this, black just play a free bishop f5.
Exactly. So in the other line where white would jump into the center, black would already have the knight, the bishop developed.
Yes.
Of course, this is all a known territory, a known theory. Both players are actually playing very fast here, and
Yes.
they both have this position in mind. So the queens are
Whoa.
swapped off in the very beginning of the game. And we have this position on the board. Still, both players are still playing extremely fast. You can see by their clocks
Yes.
that both players have more time that they started with, and it is not a technical glitch, right? It is a valid situation because after every move they have 30 seconds added to their time. This is the time control. And it looks like the Lei Tingjie is going to take her first serious thought here in this game so far. What do you think about the opening choice by the world champion?
I think for Ju Wenjun to play this opening is a very clever decision. I think first.
Why do you think so?
First, White has a pair of bishops. Anyway, I will not never say White has an equal position and or White has a worse position. But maybe according to the bar, or maybe if some very strong players to play black, maybe he or she will said, okay, I take the both pair of knights, but it's nothing to worry. I will draw this. But I mean, from the game 3 and game 4, we saw Ju Wenjun can play this tiny advantage.
Absolutely.
Yes, and this will give her not too much risk to worry about the lose, because maybe if today they draw the game, I think it's not a very bad result for Ju Wenjun. But if she lost today's game, it will be very serious.
It will be a disaster. Absolutely.
Yes. So this opening choice will give her almost half a point at least. I think because it's really hard to lose with pair of bishops in this endgame if you don't blunder very badly. So I think for Lei Tingjie, her team and she and even I will think Ju Wenjun will push for a win. So this this choice will be. I mean, will not be prepared, I think, because if I play White today, I think I will push for a very attacking line and just for a win because I lost yesterday. So I think it's out of the mind of Lei Tingjie's team, maybe, but I just guess.
This is an interesting point, but you know, I was thinking, and the impression I had in the match so far, that maybe this is Ju Wenjun's play for a win, and maybe this is the best tactic, because as you said, in games 2 and 3, or 3 and 4 more likely, that's exactly the type of the position that she felt very well in, while Lei Tingjie, you could feel that she's not entirely comfortable. It looked like the world champion has some kind of an advantage in those kinds of endgame type-ish positions with a very tiny advantage. Again, it has to be said that in those games she did have the advantage, and Lei Tingjie managed to defend. But I think this is a very clever choice by the world champion. And so this is. Let's talk about the trumps for White in this position, and then trumps for Black. What goes here for White?
I think first I want to say B3 seems like a novelty. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about it, but because Lei Tingjie and her team works very well in the opening. And this is the first time I think she thinks before Ju Wenjun. I think Ju Wenjun knows something after B3. But
Yeah,
Lei
I
Tingjie,
agree. And actually, I checked the database, and the whole plan with the long castle is quite new. It hasn't been played before. And not many games have been played in this position in general, and not in the last 5 years
Wow.
at least. So it is a relatively rare position. White did play a short castle at some point. So there was actually there was a game by one relatively unknown player named Vishwanathan Anand with white, and he played this very exact line, but without the bishop on c4. So Vishy played after knight g e7. He played short castle, long castle right away, which allowed black to play bishop e6. He was playing against Matthew Sadler. It was a rapid tournament in 2014, so it was 9 years ago.
Yes,
but Vishy never plays anything without checking it first.
Yes.
Well, so
and I think that time Sadler was a very famous player.
Yes, he's a really strong grandmaster, and he played bishop e6, b3, h6, and the bishop went to d3. So, and I think what Ju Wenjun has now is a bit more active. The bishop is a bit more actively placed now.
Maybe there's an improvement.
It looks like an improvement, but it has to be said that all in all, Black managed in that game. Black managed to create a very nice counterplay, pushing the pawn to target. So basically, after we have played this, we have pushed this move, this pawn forward. It allows Black this idea to create counterplay, right? And the bishop here, it hits the pawn. It's very well placed. So the world champion Ju Wenjun decided to first develop the bishop, preventing Black from putting her bishop here with the idea to push the pawn.
Yes.
And only after that she castled, and she allowed herself to play to move this pawn, because let's talk about why do we even need to touch this pawn?
Yeah, I think this is a very deep reason after.
Yeah, I think the main reason is that our king feels very uncomfortable on this open file, and if we allow Black to, for instance, if we are careless, let's just consider for a second we are careless, and we don't do much, then. After a move like that, the rook hits this open file, and the only two pieces that separate between the rook and the king can easily be moved or forced to move, and then the king might suddenly find itself in big trouble. Therefore, White needs to solve this issue with the king, and how do you solve it? So you either run away with the king to the corner, right?
Yes.
But I think here there might be some issues. For instance, if we check the king has to go all the way back. And now there would be lots of tactical ideas, right?
Yes.
With the knight jumping towards attacking the king. So, for instance, I think Black would simply develop her rooks. And the point, again, I'm trying to think out loud and to understand if this is really what's going on. So, White would want to keep this C file as protected as possible.
Yes,
right?
And I think anyway for White, King on B2 is really better on A1.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
If my king on B2, I can go some moves like rook C1, and maybe to exchange the rook on C5, and then after the rook exchanged, I can play king C3, king B4, maybe in the future.
And let's jump into the position because the king is exactly there.
Yeah.
So Ju Wenjun decided to have the king on this square. As you said, it's much better placed here. There are no back rank checkmates
Yes.
ideas, which are always unpleasant in chess. But as we saw in Anand's game with white, this is a potential target for some counterplay, right?
Yes, but Lei Tingjie played a6 after bishop c4. I'm sure a6 is also a good move because to play a6 b5 here is really make a sense.
It makes a lot of sense. I agree.
Yes, and I think after a6, then white play b3 is a very clever idea. If you play a6, then a5, a4, you lost a move.
And yes, this is a very important point.
Yes.
But actually, as you said, with the bishop here, this plan of a6 and pushing the other pawn makes a lot of sense because we are hitting the bishop, and where can it go? It needs to go back all the way.
Yes. So I think maybe Vichy plays bishop b3 and bishop d3 mainly. The reason mainly is this because your bishop on c4 will captured by b pawn in the future moves. So maybe he thought I can put my bishop on b1.
Yes, this is a valid point, but I would take the other side, and I would argue that maybe a white wanted to provoke these two pawn moves because now, for instance, if we not yet we are not yet ready with our pieces, but if we at some point we will push the pawn, we will hit will undermine this protection of the pawn on b5.
Yes.
Then we will exchange one of the pawns, and this pawn will be vulnerable and will need to somehow protect it, right? To take care of not losing it. Because again, the main principle of this position is that those two bishops are white's main advantage, main trump in this line, and their strength is the ability to hit far away, right?
Especially when they are together.
Exactly. When they are together, they work very strongly because, as you can see, one really supplements the other. One hits the dark squares, the other hits the light squares. And I would also, what else comes to my mind, that after black has played this b5 move, this knight doesn't have, the knight is no longer protected. So this square, which was very good for the knight, now it's vulnerable. And I've been taught that the fewer pawns you have in the center, the better it is for the bishop, because bishops love this open game, whereas the knights need some foreposts, some pawns to protect, to give them squares to cling to.
Yes,
and
I think knight, even if you reach the good place, it's easier to just be captured away.
Exactly. So here the knights, black knights, especially after b5. So I'm not sure about b5 at all. So after b5, the knights don't have any stronghold in the center at all. And this might be the whole idea of, the players of Ju Wenjun's caliber, and of course Lei Tingjie as well, That's those little things that those are the ones that will decide eventually. Right?
Yes.
These are general considerations. Of course, chess is a very concrete game, and Lei Tingjie, by pushing, it's not. I'm not saying that b5 is a mistake, but I'm trying to explain the reasoning behind White's plan. Why White played first bishop c4, and then we are basically willing to retreat with our bishop back, right? But we claim that this is maybe even to our benefit.
Yes, I like the whole idea from you, Alik. It's really very useful. And actually, you said something like a6 is bad in the first game. Yeah, do you remember?
Yes.
Yes, and I think once here, there you said Lei Tingjie maybe can play bishop b5 to weakness black to play a6 and then go back to bishop f1 or bishop d3. I don't remember the correct square.
Yes.
And actually, bishop c4 here is the same reason.
Very similar, yes. And again, as we said many times before, the pawns don't go back.
Yes.
And sometimes there are positions where the best move could be to move the pawn back, but it's against the rules in chess. However, Lei Tingjie played rook fd8, and all of these things are very general thoughts.
Yes.
They might not even materialize in the game because, for instance, what goes for black? So until now we spoke about White's strongest points, right? What works here for black?
I think the space for black is a very big advantage to against the White's pair of bishops. b5, for we said the weakness is to weaken the queen side of, for example, the knight. If White can capture it later, you have no squares, and maybe your best move is to move it back. That's what black will never want to see. For example, if we can play rook c1 and rook c5 and rook hc1, black may be in trouble with her knight, but here, black needs to play quickly with something on d5, I think. For example, now rook fd8, and maybe next, for example, she will play rook d5 and rook ad8, or maybe, I'm not sure, rook d7, which square is better for black, but put pressure on White's center. Mm-hmm. Because black has more space. You know, my teacher once said to me, if someone is better on in space, if for example your opponent is have more space than you, you need to exchange the pieces.
Yes.
To her, because for example, he said a very interesting example. For example, there are 10 people lives in a toilet. We just have a joke, and you have 10 people lives in a bigger part, and then you will stay very comfortable, but they will be very uncomfortable. And if you exchange the pieces, and only one people in the toilet and bathroom, and you live in a big house, there's no difference. He will also live comfortable, but maybe this are very not.
This is, I think, this is an extremely good point, and actually, and if we think, and this is another thing that I wanted to ask you.
Yes.
So, as White, you want to exchange pieces. Which
Yes.
pieces would you exchange?
First, I never want to change the bishop to any pieces.
So,
okay, not the rook.
these we keep, right?
Yes, these we keep, and then every pieces I think I can exchange.
That's what I was also trying to understand. So, for instance, let's imagine a position. If we exchange all the rooks,
Yes.
for instance, yeah, and let's pretend that if we can exchange even those, and
Yeah.
we exchange one pair of the knights, and we are left in this position.
Yes.
So I would think that White has made a tremendous improvement, right?
Yes.
Because now with just two minor pieces, I would even claim that White is close to winning or a
Yeah.
very, very big advantage, especially given the fact that the king is very close to where the action is going to be. And you can see how those bishops are completely running over the game, right?
Yes, and we need to mention that if both players exchange the rook, White's king is on queen side and Black king is on king side. So White's king is more active than Black's king, and the king is a piece in the endgame.
Exactly, it's a very important piece.
Yes. So exchange more pieces. Only not the bishop. I think is better for White.
Yes. So this, I think, this will be the theme of the next few moves for both players, because we would. So Ju Wenjun would love to get this advantage going for her and to exchange as many pieces, whereas Lei Tingjie will try to minimize the exchanges and try to create counterplay against the kings, the somewhat weakened king. But now I suggest that both players are now starting to think a lot, and I suggest that we look at the highlights of yesterday's game, because
Yes.
it was important, and let's
Play
remind
it.
ourselves. No, probably not. So we can spread it out a little bit, yes? You mean what? Now to make the... No, I think she will try to squeeze for quite some time, I think. Yeah.
大家好，欢迎来到2023国际棋联女子世界锦标赛对抗赛第5轮的现场。
Ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, welcome to the 5th round of World Championship match.
In Game 5 of the World Championship match, the challenger Lei Tingjie managed to break the ice after a fantastic positional masterpiece, and she is now leading by 1 point with 7 games to go. A slightly dubious plan after knight e5 and c5, Lei Tingjie used it brilliantly.
我们绞尽脑汁的去应对。
好，停中了，比赛结束了。这是我们本次比赛第1次分出胜负。
还是正常继续进行比赛吧。对我来说，每一盘棋都是一个全新的一盘棋。在我看来，这可能是一场重要的胜利，但是我觉得，就有的时候其实是这样的，就是你赢了一盘棋，你反而会感觉自己会更沉稳一点。
As you can see, yesterday was a very emotional game,
Yes.
a very emotional day for the spectators, for the players, of course. Some good, some worse. I think we can expect a very long game today. And
Yes.
do you think it's does it look drawish to you?
I think it's not really Jewish, the position, because for black because for white she will not too easily exchange her bishops, and if the pair of bishops doesn't exchange any, even if they exchange the rook and the knight, and even they change some pawns on queen side, king side, just the position is with pair of bishops, white has chance to win.
Exactly. And this is a very I think this is a very smart choice of opening by Team Ju.
Yes.
Because another thing that's very important is that black doesn't have any. So in this position, there are no concrete ways to make a draw. So
yes.
And when you have this unpleasant, and we have seen this in games 2 and 3, in 3 and 4, sorry, right?
Yes. Yes.
Where Lei Tingjie was not much worse, but there was nothing concrete, and it was very difficult, no concrete ways for draws. And this is not only for her, it's in general, it's very difficult to defend those positions, right, where you don't have anything concrete going on for you. So I think this is what Ju Wenjun is trying to achieve.
Yes, and I think I don't want to say it is the weakness from Lei Tingjie, because I think she is good at almost every corner of chess, but it's really a benefit for Ju Wenjun.
Absolutely,
yes,
absolutely agree.
She is very good at to play this, and she finds it in this game.
Yes, and the trick is really get those positions, as we said, we spoke about it yesterday, right? You want to get those positions that you feel comfortable, your opponent feels less comfortable,
yes.
And where the odds, you basically tilt the odds to your favor. And so far in those complicated middle games, Lei Tingjie showed that she is extremely comfortable, and maybe more, and probably more comfortable than Ju Wenjun. So hence this opening choice. And so we said that white would love to exchange the rooks, and then my question is, why don't we? Let's
yes.
try. Why don't we, for instance, the most natural move, let's say we go with the bishop. Another principle I wanted to share with you, that the bishops, when you have this pair of bishops, so one of the interesting principles is that how do you play those positions with the pair of bishops is to keep the bishops far away from the center,
yeah.
Because the knights, this way the knights cannot hit them. So for instance, this move that I suggested to bring the bishop forward is probably not ideal, because it can be really hit by the knight, right? By the knight
yes.
jump straight away. So maybe the bishop, which it might sound very strange, but a move like moving the bishop even farther away to the beginning square, it might be even a better idea for white.
Yes.
Although it looks very strange to do so, but sometimes we want those bishops to be far away, so the knights cannot really get to them.
Yes. Sometimes we, for example, we just saw a vicious game against Sadler, and he played bishop d3 and then bishop b1.
Exactly,
yes,
exactly.
And
yes.
we showed it before. And actually, in a lot of games, we always see, for example, white has a pair of bishops and a knight, black has 2 knights and a bishop, and white bishop is on b2 or g2, it's very far from the center, and the black has 2 knights on d5, e5. The position, when you first see, it's totally better for black, but after some rook exchange, and white can easily capture your knight back, and it goes to the position which white can play for a win. This is the beauty of 2 bishops.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I really agree with bishop c1. Alik, this is a good idea. And of course, black can play knight d5. I'm not sure white should play knight d4 because, as we said, white can exchange everything except two bishops. But if black don't play knight d5, for example, he plays some random move and just exchange the rooks on d5, I think after this exchange, white will feel more comfortable.
Yes, yes, exactly. So even without the rooks, but with the so 3 minor pieces are less ideal than 2,
yes,
right? But it's still without the rooks, it feels like black would lack counterplay in this position. And
yes,
again, as you point exactly as you are pointing, those pawns on a6 and b5, they will be targets.
yes. For example, if black play knight d5, I will go for. Yeah, actually, the engine first line is also what I want to play, knight e1.
Oh.
Yes, I can play my pieces all down to the first line, second line, but sorry, first rank, second rank. But I can, for example, if you play king f8, I play bishop f3, and if you play some moves like knight e7 to keep the knight on d5, I will go for bishop d2, then knight c2, knight e3, or knight b4 to exchange your knight. Like as we said, if white can manage to use her knight exchange on one of black's pieces, the position will goes to a very better for a very good position for white.
Absolutely, absolutely agreed. But black is still very solid. And how would we want to play with black?
I think after bishop c1,
I would love to exchange one of the bishops, of course. And the question is whether we are able to do that.
yes,
And as we already said more than once so far in the commentary, the best way to do that is to activate our piece and to make your opponent want to
yes,
to exchange it. For instance, you know, I have this strange suggestion. What happens if we just start trying to hit to place the bishop or the knight here on d3, thus forcing white to exchange moves. And my point is that, for instance, here, if you take, I will take back. You don't have the time now to play this move because, well, I have this check. First of all, hitting all 3 of your pieces, and if you don't want to lose your bishop, you would have to stick with the king on the close to it. But then there is another issue coming up that the bishop is hitting the king, and this is suddenly black is very much on top.
yes,
Yes. So white's position, again, because the king is somewhat weak and black has so much more active pieces so far, maybe it's not so easy for white to, maybe white cannot play such moves as rook C, bishop c1, or maybe we can find something better here. What do you think?
knight d4 is
Knight d4,
possible
let's
here.
say. Yes, knight d4 is probably the main idea here. But the knight will be a little bit awkwardly placed. So for instance, if I force you, if I attack here.
Yes, I think f3 I should play because I never want to play bishop f3.
Absolutely, as we said, you don't want to exchange those bishops, but this is a move you also don't love to play,
yes,
right? So I would say this is a plus for black because
yes,
it weakens this square on this square, and the knight, in some lines, the knight might be able to jump here. It would be a very strong square for black, and it also limits the bishop. So the bishop can no longer go to this open, beautiful diagonal. And for instance, if we place our knight here in the center, now it will be much harder for white to target it, right? To undermine it.
And in this line, after knight d4, bishop e4, f3, bishop g6. Let's see what white do. What black played. Black played bishop e4 and bishop g6. I would say this move seems useless, but it makes white to play knight d4 and f3, which these two moves make white rook cannot exchange.
Exactly. So, exactly, and we basically managed to prevent our opponent from doing what she wanted to do, and we kind of significantly, I think, positionally improved our position here, right?
Yes.
So this is these are the nuances of those little tiny nuances of those positional games, which you guys sometimes you may say, you know, it's boring, and
yes.
But all in all, in high-level chess, the games are all about that. And the world champion, she
moved the rook.
She calculated, I think, this bishop c1 because this is the most. I think this is the most the move she wants to make the most, right?
Yes, because the plan of exchange the rook is very clear.
And but she played rook a. She moved the rook to the center. Makes a lot of sense, right? The rooks are placed in the best possible positions because they both are on open files. And Lei Tingjie played immediately rook c8, and
this is a big surprise. She can play that fast.
Yes, so I'm not sure she's really in her book so far in her open. When we say in her book, we mean in her opening preparation. Maybe she used the time that her opponent spent to prepare her response.
But I still want to say it's really too fast to play.
Very impressive. Yes. Very impressive. Maybe she knows. Maybe she came to the conclusion that okay, I have to move the rook anyway to improve it. But now, I think that now white might already be able to play this move, because if I'm thinking of one difference that is between, if we compare this position to the previous one, so I'm somehow I'm not sure if we cannot exploit this knight hanging. For instance, if we take here. My first thought would be to take on b5, but I'm not sure that it works.
Yes, because it's also dangerous if black play after black's knight d3.
Exactly. So as we said, this duo plays very well, and how can we? So we have to keep the king near our bishop.
Is the only move.
And here black is not risking at all to be worse. If anybody, I think it's only black who can be better here, right?
Yes.
So this doesn't work for us tactically.
Yes.
Maybe we can drive the knight away with this move.
Yes. Because knight d3 is impossible.
Exactly, because now this doesn't work, right? Because we will eventually, after this line of exchanges, we will win the knight. But what do you think? Is it at all dangerous for black here?
Yes, I want to say a3 is also important, because knight d3 may be not a threat, but bishop d3 is a threat for black.
Yes, I agree. Bishop d3.
Yes, but after a3 you have to go back your knight first, and for example, if you play knight c6, at least I can play rook d1, and that's what we actually really want to see in
yes. And here I would actually feel good with white here, right? If we manage to get this. So probably after so by this move, rook e1, Ju Wenjun pretty much prevents perhaps knight, the idea of knight b4.
Yes.
But what is Lei's idea here? Maybe she wants to.
But maybe now she can play knight d5.
Exactly.
Yes, because what we said before rook e1 and before rook e1, rook ac8, these two moves exchanged. If we play bishop c1, you can play knight d5. If you play knight d5, I can play knight d4. That we talked about it before. And after you take, what I said is this is exchange makes white more comfortable.
Yes.
Yes, but maybe we don't calculate too much. But I think it makes sense. White has better position. But now, and I want to say, if white cannot play knight d4 here, actually I'm not sure. Maybe rook d2 is a move, but seems if white has not knight d4 move, black has a good position. And now after these two moves exchanged, and then if you play bishop c1, knight d5, knight d4 seems not really possible here. I'm not sure, but black has some moves after rook at c2.
Oh, that looks scary.
Yes, maybe king a1, but I really don't like this position for white.
It looks so scary, although white is lucky that the knight is pinned and we cannot jump with the knight to c3, right? Because that would be a deadly threat of checkmate, but white is just one move ahead of us.
Yes. If you have not checkmated,
but I still think that with the rook on c2 we are not risking at all. Maybe we can even, we can even maybe try to move the rook here away from the pin.
This is very important.
Yes, and now the knight is again free to go. So as we can see that both players are playing a prophylactical chess, right? So Ju Wenjun played rook e1. She brought the rook to the center in order to prevent her opponent from playing this active knight b4, and while Lei Tingjie is playing against her opponent's plans. So this is a world championship class chess. It might be, again, some people might say, oh, it's boring because there are no flashy sacrifices. Yeah. But to me, this is very beautiful because it shows you how deep the players understand those positions. How those little things eventually they either add up together, and you either win or draw a worse position.
I think this is another beauty of chess. I want to say sometimes if you're just playing some attacking games, maybe you played very well, but sometimes you need some lucky in the game, because I think it's never, especially in a game, in a match, it's difficult for someone to calculate everything correct in an attacking game. Sometimes you go stairs and you think I have a lot of attacks here. I think it's damaged for my opponent. I just go for it, and I calculate when I reach the position, when he moves plays a move, and then I just to calculate next. But in this position, you cannot do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every decision you made must be really considered and have no.
It's a different skill set, right?
Yes,
it's a strategic planning. It's much less tactics, but not to be mistaken. As we have seen, they do check the concrete lines very much because you know, you cannot look too far away and then hit some rock and fall and break your nose. So you have to be careful, both look far away and look at the immediate threats as well. And as our chat is mentioning today that this time Ju is keeping the bishop pair, whereas so far we have seen in quite a few games that Lei Tingjie was the one with the bishop pair, but now it's how do we say it? Let's her taste her own medicine, right? Let's see how she plays against it.
And let me remember the interview from Lei, and we asked her which pieces she liked most, and she said the pieces. I don't remember what she said, but
the good, it doesn't matter which. I like the good pieces. Yes, this is a very, very good approach.
Yes, and seems that she's also played well without pair of bishops in this game. Rook AC8, 95. At least now her plan is good to against white to exchange the rooks.
Yes, and the world champion Ju Wenjun will need to think of how she proceeds with her plans further. How, as we see, by the way, we didn't consider bishop c3. There are many options for her to go here, and I suggest that we take a short pause and let's remember what happened in yesterday's game, because yesterday's game was so much different from today's.
Yes.
It was very dynamic. It was, as we said in the beginning, it was a masterpiece, a positional masterpiece by Lei Tingjie. Let's take a short analysis, look at our short analysis of yesterday's game. Hi everyone, this is the recap of Game 5 of the Women's World Championship match between Ju Wenjun and Lei Tingjie. The challenger Lei Tingjie managed to break the ice today with a spectacular positional win over the world champion Ju Wenjun. Let's jump right into the action. She keeps playing e4. Again, e4 was played, but this time again instead of the Ruy Lopez, she decided Lei Tingjie decided to go for the Italian game, and which promises not such a big advantage as you might fight for in the Ruy Lopez. However, and this is exactly what happened in the opening. White does not have any big advantage here. But the world champion in this position, she opted, after bishop e3, she opted for a slightly dubious plan after knight e5 and c5. Although it helped her to get some grip of the center, but this pawn structure after knight takes e5, all those dark square pawns are a little bit weak, and especially with the bishop on a7 being without good prospects. And Lei Tingjie managed to take full advantage of it. So the knight will now go to will go to c3, or maybe the knight can go via f1 to g3, f5, and the queen can go to g4, putting some pressure on the weakened pawns. So after bishop b8, as played in the game, because the bishop on a7 is really badly placed, Lei Tingjie uses the fact that the bishop left the defense of the c5 pawn by queen c4, a very powerful move, attacking the c5 pawn. After b6, the bishop on c6 is unprotected, which allows white to use this fact to play b4. And here was the first critical moment of the game, because black, the best way and the only way to keep the balance here was to play bishop d6, keeping the tension and keeping all the pawns on the board. Instead, and for instance, after a move like b5, bishop b7, white does have a very pleasant advantage. The knight will eventually go to c4. And albeit black pieces are very passive, but white doesn't have any any clear ways to break through, because we only have one open d file. The world champion Ju Wenjun choose to take on b4, which is a concession, because now after the same bishop d6, b5, white will always have this breakthrough of a5 and followed by b6, and targeting the c5 pawn. So black defense will be much more difficult, and look how beautifully Lei Tingjie exploits all of this. Queen c3, the knight is going to c4. Now the knight is exchanged, but now this bishop on the light square bishop is really has no counterparts. So the bishop will go to d5. It's an extremely strong threat. However, Ju Wenjun she found the best way to defend. The knight is going all the way to d4, and Lei Tingjie decided she does not want to see the knight on d4, and thus she transfers the bishop to this a2 g8 diagonal, and now she decided to take on e6, a move which the only move of white which computer disagrees with. But the idea which computer suggests, it suggests a fantastic line of queen c4, knight d4, a5, b takes e5, rook takes a5, bishop c7. It looks to a human eye that we just lose a pawn on b5. But there is a beautiful tactic. After rook a7, knight b5, there is a fantastic resource. Bishop takes f7. The point being that after queen f7, rook takes d8. The bishop cannot take on d8 because the rook, the queen will be lost. And after rook takes d8, queen takes b5. White will win the pawn, and probably with a winning position. However, understandably, Lei Tingjie chose to not allow this. She not allow the knight to get to d4, and this. Using the fact that she controls the d file, she controls the d5 square, and now look at this. The computer says black can defend, but it's very difficult to master a defense here, especially when white plays so greatly. And then the bishop goes to c3, attacking the e5 pawn, with the idea to force black to weaken to play f6 and weaken this diagonal a2 g8. And what is even more important, the e6 square. Why the e6 square is important? Because now black cannot keep the queen on e6, because, for instance, rook d8, winning the rook is a very serious threat. So black has to retreat with the queen all the way to e8. And basically here black had no better choices than just sit and wait. And she had been better to wait until the very end, although here it looks very scary, because, for instance, if black plays queen c8, white will close the king side, will bring the king all the way to the queen side, protecting the c4, the a4 pawns, and now when the heavy pieces will be exchanged, white king will just enter along the light squares, and this is a totally winning position for white. Seeing that Ju Wenjun decided not to allow the white to close the center, to close the king side with h5, but this creates a serious weakness for black along the 5th rank, and Lei Tingjie used it brilliantly. She played bishop d2, a very important move, not allowing black to consolidate and to protect the pawn on h5 with g6 and king g7, because now a g6 runs into a checkmate in the middle of the board. So black played bishop rook b8, and now f4, a very strong breakthrough. The bishop is even more strong because the bishop is attacking the rook and also wants to go to c7. Therefore, rook b7 is forced. Queen b2, forcing black to play g6, and after g6 is played and this diagonal is opened, e5 is a crushing move, because now after f takes e5, queen takes e5, for instance. If black plays king g8 to prevent queen from going to h8, there is this very nice tactic of rook takes c5. White manages to win back the queen with 2 passed pawns. This is game over. Instead, Ju Wenjun played queen a8, a tricky move with the threat of, with the hope trap. If e takes f6, then rook d7, the rook would be pinned, white rook would be pinned, and it would be, actually it is still a draw even, and black was not even winning after this. But of course, Lei Tingjie dodges this threat with queen f3. The queen protects the king, and now it is again game over. A nice touch, rook d7, forcing the queens to be exchanged. And now the problem is it's very similar to last game where Ju Wenjun was playing white with the same formation, the rook on the 7th, the black having the passive bishop and the passive king. But here the big difference is that the bishops are of the same color and not opposite color, and this makes all the difference because now white can and will break through. Rook b7, the threat is bishop h6 followed by rook b8, for instance. Let's say black is not careful enough. So this is the threat from which black can never defend properly, because black is lacking the ability to move the queen. So, sorry, the rook. So the rook has to go all the way back to a8 to prevent this threat. But now white basically can do whatever she wants. And she wants to take on b6, and this another pawn starts running, and this is totally hopeless for black. The best way Ju Wenjun found to keep fighting is to give up this bishop, but without the bishop it's really hopeless for black, because white has 2 pawns, and the h pawn is of the color of the bishop, so not even the slightest chance for black. And Lei Tingjie chooses the simplest way to win, because after the rooks are exchanged, as we said, this pawn is of the correct color and black is hopeless. Therefore, Ju Wenjun resigned, and Lei Tingjie takes the lead after 5 rounds. And now all the excitement will begin in the last 7 rounds.
Which of the two will fight to the end and become the new queen? Which of the two will resist the pressure and finally hold the trophy of the victory? Which of the two will inherit the glory of the East? Very soon the battle of wisdom is about to begin. A breathtaking confrontation across the chessboard is imminent.
那我觉得每一次对抗赛都是不同的。我的目标就是认真的去下好每一
Ju
盘棋。
Wenjun has a really strong heart. She will excel at seizing any opportunity. Her willpower will be released on the chessboard, determined to retain her title and stay at the
以
top.
前的比赛每一场棋其实都会是难忘的，但是我觉得在接下来的这场比赛将会是我职业生涯当中最难忘的一场比赛。
Lei Tingjie is the new challenger. She will fight for every inch of the board, eager to showcase her fresh energy and aspiration. Two strong players from the mysterious East, the best teammates and toughest opponents. On the stage of 64 white and black squares, they will demonstrate their best performance and unveil unlimited, exciting possibilities.
Welcome back again after those after the recap and the video of the match. We are back to remind you, those who join us now, this is game 6 of the World Championship match between Ju Wenjun and Lei Tingjie. The challenger Lei Tingjie is leading by 1 point. She won yesterday's games, as you just have seen the analysis. But today we have a completely different story. Shu, your impression so far? In the beginning, you think who should be happy, who should be less happy?
I think first I want to say Ju Wenjun seems placed to a position which she is happy, I think. But Lei Tingjie shows that I'm not afraid your choice. I know you are satisfied with this position with pair of bishops. I suffered something in round 3 and round 4, but I'm not afraid of it. And actually, I think Lei Tingjie respond very well. So I really looking forward to what will going on in the live game.
It will be very interesting to show. And by the way, we wanted to give a big shout out to Mauricio Aldana, who is watching our game from Santa Monica, California, and it's past midnight
Yes.
there. So thanks for watching. It's really really impressive that we are. Because of the time difference, it's sometimes tricky to watch those games. But people find a way to do that, and this is very good to know.
Yes.
And we are seeing some developments in the game. So Ju Wenjun decided to take the more active approach. As we spoke about, White, as we saw, right? White did not have the leisure to just go back with the bishop for exchanging the rooks, so she went for the attacking move. Right? She pins the bishop. We did not even consider it much because it looks like after bishop g5 there is f6, which is driving the bishop back. But as you see, just as we explained, the world champion, she wants to exchange the rooks because she knows the less rooks are on the board, the less chances for black to create counterplay. So she finds she's willing to spend time in order to exchange one pair of rooks.
Yeah.
But normally when a rook takes on d8, we automatically recapture with the rook back. But Lei Tingjie is not recapturing immediately because Black had the option here, and she spent a couple of minutes thinking about it.
Yes, that's very worth thinking.
Because of the idea that of the fact that the bishop is hanging now, and bishop will have to spend time to retreat somewhere, right? Let's say if the bishop goes to somewhere like e3, and black could play rook c2 check here. But Lei rejected. Why do you think she rejected this idea?
For example, let's say bishop e3, rook c2, and white has to go king a1, and now white has two moves after a king a1, two threats. First is knight d4. It's a very bad threat,
hitting both the rook and the bishop.
Yes, and for example, if you play the knight dc6, it's very natural. Or knight dc6, I just want to say bishop d1 is another threat.
Hitting the rook, and if you go back, this is the only square for the rook to
go.
Then do we have bishop d2? And we can even try, but this gives you nothing, right? Because this it probably is even bad because because there is a rook takes
rook
here,
f3,
and this nice triangular because if we take the bishop, then the rook goes back, and the rook is no longer under attack. So this is of course not the way to play, but the rook is somehow black is missing some coordination here.
Yes.
Right? It feels a little bit awkward to place. The rook is not really attacking, it's more of a kind of lost in nowhere area, right?
And actually this is just what we see it at our first sight.
Yes.
I think maybe white has much better moves to control the rook.
Absolutely. Okay, so for this reason, Lei, of course, she is alert to the idea of taking with the knight, but she decided, as it looks rightly so, to not take on d5, on d8 with the knight. And Ju Wenjun is thinking, it has to be said that white has, again, Lei Tingjie has more than half an hour more on her clock, right? So, but in this game, I think it's not going to be too important because, first of all, they already played 20 moves, right?
Yes.
So only 20 moves are left until the time control, and the position is not calculation heavy, so you don't really need this huge amount of time to calculate. Although we can see that Ju Wenjun is really taking her time.
Yes, I think maybe after when the move she played rook he1, he spent almost 45 minutes from rook he1 till now.
Yes.
It's because the position is very important for white here. If you don't play accurate, I think black is easy to make a draw. If you for example, if you don't play bishop g5 actually is a very important move to give a tempo and exchange one rook. If you play bishop c1 after knight d5, maybe even black is better in the position.
Here, yes.
Yes. So she really need to spend some time here, and we saw it in the previous games that Ju Wenjun always spends a lot of time in the position which she thinks is important, and then she will hurry to play a lot of moves.
Yes, yes. This is a very this is her strategy, and also in here I would argue that it seems that this position is so calm, you can make any other move. But if you make a few inaccuracies and you allow your opponent to force an exchange of the wrong pieces, then suddenly all your even hopes for an advantage just go out of the window, right? So for this reason, she needs to spend a lot of time. It's like, you know, she has this tiny fire, and she's making sure the wind doesn't blow on it and not to put it away, you know. So this is the kind of position I feel there is now. And she retreats with the bishop, of course, to B to D2.
Wow, that's...
So this is not... but I would say that the bishop on D2, the main point of the bishop is that, again, this is not... She's more concerned about her opponent's play than about her own at this point, right? So she's trying to prevent her opponent from being able to force, as we said, not allowing your opponent to get some clear-cut way to exchange pieces or to equality or something like that. And this is a very valid strategy, and we see the strongest players employ it a lot, especially one by the name of Magnus Carlsen.
Yes.
It was, you know, there were many books written about the prophylactic approach, which in the past, Petrosyan was one of the greatest in it. Yes. Anatoly Karpov was also very known for this style of not allowing your opponent to exercise their plans, and then you just squeeze them, you know. Lei Tingjie doesn't seem too impressed with it at all, right? I have rarely seen her in this relaxed posture during a game. Yeah. Even before the game, I've rarely seen her like on the back of the chair.
Yes, but I've seen a lot of times of Ju Wenjun did this style to lay back on the chair.
Yes.
But
what is the consideration here for?
I want to say bishop d2 seems is a little bit strange for me. Like you said, bishop d2 to cut knight b4. This is a very good reason, and I think that's what Ju Wenjun wants to. That's why she played the bishop d2. But for me, first knight b4 maybe is not that important to defend, because for example, let's try bishop c1, and if you play knight b4, I think a3 it's just easily to...
Oh, so you mean, as you said, because of the rook on e1, we don't have this check on d3 because we would lose the knight.
Yes. And for example, a3, and if I play bishop c1, knight b4, a3, and if you go back, I want to what I want to go is to play rook d1. Yeah, I mean, if your knight is not on d5, I want to exchange the rook.
Yeah, if I'm planning to go back, I will not go to b4 in the first place, I think.
Yes, but what I want to say is, if I play white, I will go bishop c1 and rook d1. That's my plan, to exchange another rook. But bishop d2 cut the line for ourselves, for white.
This is true, and as Nilesh just said in the chat, only one knight is defending the bishop, so then this knight can potentially be hit by black, and then the bishop would also need to be taken care of, right? So, for instance, black has all of a sudden black has all kinds of tactical ideas. For instance, like knight e5, right, where attacking the knight, white cannot take on e5, which is very important because of this intermezzo check on e2 on d2. And the king cannot move away attacking the rook because we have this another intermezzo check on c2. The rook is protected, and where doesn't matter where the king goes, we will just win a whole piece after capturing the knight. So knight e5, can it be an idea here?
Yes, it really makes sense because, as you said, Alik, knight e5, rook d2 is winning for black, and we also see knight d3 a big threat for knight e5. I like this move.
But you know, maybe it is another trap by a world champion. Maybe she wants to lure us to e5 and now go bishop c1, perhaps. Because as we said, we want to exchange one pair of knights because then there will be the remaining pieces are much less jumpy if you don't have two knights, which can jump one to e5, the other to e5, to d5, to d4, to b4. So two knights are very, very jumpy, yes?
Yes.
And if you manage to exchange one of them, then you might be, might be much easier to contain them, the remaining pieces.
Yes.
So maybe this is the idea. Another, you know, or maybe even is this an idea? Because we want to. So as you can see, it's not just general thoughts, right? So we need to calculate some lines. Let's try to do that. Oh, but we can quit doing it because Lei Tingjie
is playing bishop
d3. And again, when you know the ideas, and we said it before, the black wants to exchange at least one of the bishops, or not at least one of the bishops is clearly enough, more than enough for black. And white wants to exchange the other pieces apart from the bishop, and then the whole game becomes very clear, right? So all the moves make a lot of sense. In this, so bishop d3 doesn't even need to be explained because we want to hit this bishop on to exchange those bishops. As we said, you want to exchange, activate your piece, right? And what can be more active than a bishop on d3? And look at Lei Tingjie. She seems to be extremely comfortable in this position.
Yes, because here, if white exchange the bishop or give black a chance to exchange the bishop, as we said, it's better for black in any cases. But if you don't want to exchange, you must play bishop d1, which is really
it's a move I really find hard to make, but sometimes you have to make those moves.
But you know, sometimes if your opponent wants to exchange the bishop, exchange your knight to your bishops, and you play all the moves back, sometimes after you do this too much, it will be better for your opponent.
And then you suddenly look at your position and say, wait, why am I better again?
Yes.
And this is a very, very good point that you make here. But you know, I wanted also to say another thing. So if we exchange, if white loses her bishop pair, right? For instance, if the bishops are exchanged, for let's say we just exchange, it doesn't automatically mean that it's a draw.
Yes, of course. Still, a bishop anyway in this open position is better than a knight.
Yes, and also the king, as you said, the king on the queen side is important.
Yes, it's more close to make some active pawns on the queen side.
Especially after b5, right? With the pawn on b7, it's much more difficult for white to create weaknesses. But with the pawn on b5, the king is only 3 moves away from really attacking the pawns.
Let's imagine if we exchange the knight and bishop, exchange the c6 knight and the white bishop. Let's just imagine it, and we can go king a3, king b4, and king a5. When king a5 is played in a game, I think white is clearly better.
Yes, and we can try to do that. How we can do that? Just
It's not
it's not easy to do, but
Yes.
we will try it. Let's say we do that. We take here. We somehow get there, right?
yes.
And now we will want to prevent the rook from coming. But then if here, for instance, right? So this king is closer to, it's much closer to where the action is going to be. Although it has to be said that a move
A5,
like
yeah.
a5 and we kind of prevent the king from entering. Sorry, this was too big of an arrow. So we prevent the king from entering, and it is also quite
Drawish, I think.
quite drawish. Yeah.
Yes.
So
But let's say, for example, if black play h5 or some moves, and king b4 is played.
yeah, if the king does reach to b4, then black might be in quite some trouble.
Yes.
Although even here, it seems that there is really not much going on, because
Yes.
in order to put more pressure, we would have to leave the second rank with our rook, and then black would have sufficient compensation with the remaining pawns. All in all, the position is fairly balanced, right? So they're
Yeah.
both players, and you can see the bar here. When it's in the middle of the board, it says that it's drawish. Sorry, it's not drawish. It can be equal, but not drawish. And it's equal. If, of course, if black manages to exchange the bishops and then maybe another pair or two of knights, then the game might well end in a draw very soon. But I don't think that the world champion is ready to
do this.
to agree to this turn of events. I think she will try to squeeze. But now it's a big decision for white, right? Do you want to keep the bishops at all costs, or you say, okay?
I think anyway, bishop d1 is too much.
Yeah, I agree with you. It feels too much. But let's try. Okay, so we kind of agree that the bishops will be gone. Let's try to use
Yes.
the remaining bishop. And we want to place it in a way that it dominates the black knight, right?
Yes.
And if you now exchange, and for instance, if you go forward and want to exchange even more pieces. So now, because the pawn on f6 is not guarding the square on e6,
E6,
maybe
yes.
we have some
Rook e6.
some kind of pressure. Is this a valid move?
Yes, I think so.
Maybe then, you know what, maybe knight d5 is then premature. Maybe we can
Yeah,
bring
maybe
it
king
here,
f7
yes.
seems more natural, and then next
Next move,
move.
we want to go here. To be honest, all in all, it looks that Lei did play here. She played those three very precise moves,
Yes.
and Lei Tingjie and Ju Wenjun played bishop
Oh.
d1. So she basically she admits that without the bishops, she will have very little going on for her in terms of.
And I think bishop d1 is also a move, because after bishop d3, I think what we said, what we analyzed before, bishop c3 take king f7 is totally drawish. So maybe she wants to go bishop d1, and if there is some trouble for white, I can go bishop e2 for a draw.
Yeah, white. It has to be said. White doesn't really risk much at all here.
Yes. If I really in danger, you put your knight on some very dangerous squares for me, and I go bishop e2 for a draw.
You know, one of the advantages. So when they say that when you have a pair of bishops,
Yes.
so one of the things they are advantageous is that you can exchange them at your whenever it's good for you,
Yes.
right? So this is one of the main advantages of the bishop, because having two bishops by themselves just doesn't give you points, right? But you can this advantage can transpose into something different, into a different advantage when you have the chance, and you can decide when you want to exchange them. So, but sometimes your opponent puts so much pressure on you that you don't really have a lot of choices other than exchange those bishops.
Yes.
I would argue for a move, for a simple move like King f7. First of all, protecting the knight on e7.
Yes. And you can move the c6 knight in the future.
Exactly. So now the knight can go in various places, and I also love this pawn being on f6. The king feels so well on f7, especially that white's bishop, light square bishop, which could potentially attack it, is so restricted. So for
Yes. And as we said, in a position like this, white has pair of bishops, and black has one bishop with light squares. So the pawn should be put on dark squares.
Yes, this is a great point.
Yes, because I can exchange my bishop in the light squares, or my bishop can play against your bishop on light squares. But my pawn needs to control the bishop, which I cannot control.
Absolutely, this is a great advice, because let's just for a second consider that black goes a little bit crazy, and plays here instead of king f7. Let's pretend black plays here, puts her pawns on the squares of her bishop. And now look at this beautiful bishop, dark square bishop for white, which it could go either here or there, and it has all the freedom in the world to play. Whereas black bishop is kind of limits itself, but it can anyway be exchanged for whites, right?
Yes. Yes. So if the pawn on light squares also limits your own bishop.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there's no reason to put your pawn on light squares. Okay, but on queen side, it's almost forced in the opening. So
yeah, so it had some. But actually, we have an interesting question from the chat, which asks, why not push b4 by white?
Yes, I think this is a good question.
This is a fantastic question. Yes, and I would, if I played white, I would. Of course, it's a move that we consider, right?
Yes.
But I would say that there are drawbacks to this move. One of the drawbacks is that, again, as we said, probably these bishops, they kind of even out, right?
Yes.
They might be exchanged in the future. And seeing that, I would be a bit reluctant to place the pawn on the square of my own bishop, because it limits, first of all, it limits my dark square bishop, and it also creates a target for black to attack it. Of course, for now I can always
a3
defend it with a3, but then, for instance, I will probably have to play a3, but then also before weakened this square.
Yes, this is a very important square. Black can play knight d5.
Exactly. So
and
black can hitting this knight, for instance, right?
Yes.
This pawn, and after you play a3, the knight can go here, and suddenly you have to deal with it.
Yes. Now maybe you need to play bishop b3, bishop c4.
Exactly. And here, if black wants, maybe we can even force some opposite color bishop ending, and it is actually, I think, black who is slightly better here because of the more active bishop. So all in all, a move like b4 is a bit double-edged. I wouldn't rush into play it just now.
Yes.
Mainly, I think, because it weakens the c4 square. But again, the bishop on the dark square bishop is also limited by this move.
So maybe if b4 95, can white play bishop b3?
Maybe bishop d3 immediately. You are right, but then maybe bishop c4 anyway.
I think,
yes.
yes. If I have to take here and a3, but I really don't want to say this is a position white wants to go for.
Yeah, and you know, now I even wouldn't mind to exchange, because this is also a very known formation, because the knight on d5 and the pawn on c4, they control all the important squares, and it's like a barrier which you cannot really pass. So I think this is the explanation why b4 probably is not the best move at the moment. Although it's not easy to see a move for white, and the world champion played h2, h4. She pushed the pawn, and as the common wisdom in chess says, if you don't know what to do, push the h4. H4. Yes.
Yes.
Nowadays, this seems to be the recipe. Why is it good?
The first is white really has not so much moves make sense. Not so much moves to improve the position. So h4 actually it defend black to play g5. For example, if we don't play h4, we play the h3. If instead, black can play g5 and then h5, g4 to make some attack on king side. Because we see this position, white and black, both colors has no really aim in this position. So I can the position here, white is black is wins more space with the d3 bishop. You played bishop d1. That's your choice. Okay, I will play g5, h5, g4, and to create more space for myself. And if you cannot deal with it really good, maybe black will play for win after some moves. So yes, I like this h4 to stop g5 from black.
Yeah, so white wants to get some spatial advantage for her, yes. Also. And you know, h5, as we saw in the recap of yesterday's game, h5 was one of the moves one of the mistakes that cost Ju Wenjun the game yesterday. And here she kind of forces Lei to play h5. But of course, it doesn't. It's a very different position. h5 here is very normal.
Yes, here h5. I think there's a point of h5 for black is to throw the ball away to you. I think this position white is hard to make a move. Actually, I really don't see a. Or maybe I will say if I play white, and if I really want to win, maybe I want to give you to play some move. Please play some rook g8, g5 to attack me.
Yes, and this is a valid point, because sometimes you know, when you make those pseudo attacking moves, you actually weaken your position rather than improving it. So it should be extremely careful. Both sides should be careful to not overextend, right?
Yeah.
But here again, you're right. I absolutely agree with you, because here it feels that by trying to preserve those bishops, white gave too many concessions so far, and black is very comfortably placed so far. We have another interesting question from the chat for you. What's more scary, a bishop pair or a knight pair? For my level, even one knight jumping is scary. So first of all, I have to say for my level as well, knights are always scary to jump. What is more scary? I think, what would you say? How would you answer this?
I would say if in if in blitz and bullet, I will say knight.
Oh yeah, this is this is an important. When you're short on time, you don't want to play against knights, and you have the knights. You want to have the knights in your army. Right?
Yes. Knight will be a magician in when the time is really low on the clock.
Yeah, I had somebody once. Somebody told me that an amateur player who saw a few of my games, he came to me after one of the games and he said, "Oh, I know you. You are very good with the knights." You know, I had some game with really knights dancing all over the board. But my answer, of course, would be that it depends so much on the position, right? Because in such position that we have today, we have here. So the bishops have the potential to become to be very strong, but I agree with the point that knights are also knights are very difficult to contain, especially when there are no pawns or pieces restricting them. They can really produce some magnificent ideas. Right?
Yes, and actually, I think most of the really important and impressive games with some amazing attacking is based on the knight.
Yes. Knights are usually the pieces that create the fireworks on the board. Absolutely. And you know, yesterday it was actually the first time that we were shown the Chinese chess.
Ah, yes.
And many pieces are very similar to our chess, this chess that we know.
But the knight is.
But the knight is behaving very differently in Chinese chess.
Maybe I can show it on the board.
If you can, of course.
Yes, of course. I know how to play Chinese chess. And first, there is a very big difference between Chinese chess and chess is. We move the pieces in the square, and they move the pieces. I don't know.
On the edges of the square.
Yes, on the pot of this. And for example, this is the knight in Chinese chess. And if you have some pieces here, for example, let's say if we play if black played f5 and f4, if some pieces is here, you cannot move the knight to this.
So the knight cannot jump over a piece, yes?
Yes, because this piece controls this knight. And but let's say, for example, there is a piece you can play knight b4.
Why is that?
Because this piece doesn't. Because the knight
you go one forward and one to the diagonal. Yes.
This is the road for the knight in Chinese chess. So this is a very big difference between.
I think for a chess player it would be extremely difficult to switch to Chinese chess. Yeah.
You know, because I am a Chinese chess amateur, and here our playing hall is in the Chinese academy. There is also masters of really professional players for Chinese chess master, and when we play some blitz game, of course, if we just play normal blitz game, we cannot win them. But we will try. Our knight is chess knight. We can jump like this, okay. And they should do the Chinese chess rules. And actually, because there are two knights on the Chinese chessboard, actually the result is equal.
Really?
Yeah,
so
we can play
some.
Yes.
So this is the handicap that they give you, yes, so to equalize the chances.
When played to some down to 1 minute, when my knight, for example, now play knight g5, he will say, "Wow, why do you play this?" And then he realized it is based on the rules.
Are there players that are good both in regular chess and Chinese chess?
Yes.
Like Grandmaster level, or
yes?
Yes.
I think. Do you know Ye Jiangchuan from China?
Yes.
Yes. He plays he is a grandmaster in chess in China, and he played the Olympiad.
Yes.
Before. I think he starts to play Chinese chess and then goes to play chess.
Oh, really?
And his Chinese chess skills is professional. Maybe not a grandmaster, but it's good, very good.
And which one is considered to be tougher, more difficult to play?
I think I think it's chess.
Chess is.
Yeah, chess is more. First, it's around the world. It's a sport, and second, for playing chess, it's not easy to playing for draw. And in Chinese chess, there is some defenders. I cannot contribute it in English, but there's some pieces only can defend, but not to attack. So, for example, if you win the knight, but for example, you have a knight and 4 or 5 defenders, and he only have 4 or 5 defenders. It's not a win, because he defends, and your defenders cannot across the river.
Yeah, I love this concept of river. This was very fresh for me, very entertaining.
Yes, and so I think in the high level of Chinese chess, draw is almost. Draw is very common to see in the high level. But chess.
Well, chess in chess also, but less than.
Yes, but in chess, if you win a pawn, you have a lot of chance to win.
Yes.
In Chinese chess, I think a pawn is not too much for win. Yeah.
Interesting. So okay, let's get. Thank you for this. For introducing us to Chinese chess. Actually, I had also just a short anecdote. So when I came to China, I had an invitation letter sent to me to make the process easier from the Chinese Chess Federation Association.
Yes.
And then I come to this officer, the passport officer. And I tell him that I come to the World Championship match, and here is an invitation from Chinese Chess Association. So he thought I am a Chinese chess player.
Yes.
He kind of mixed it up, and but then we kind of spoke a little bit, and it turned out that he also knows about chess as well. So. In the game, meanwhile, the game continued 8-3. So, is Ju Wenjun preparing before, or does she just want to contain and prevent? I think the more she wants to prevent black from playing before, because if black managed to push b4 and a5, she would have even more advantage on the queen side, spatial advantage, right?
Yes.
And black played a g6 and bishop a3. This is our current position.
Yes, as we said, black wants to keep her pawn on dark squares in this position, so a3 is a move to...
Makes a lot of sense, yes.
Yes.
Okay, and now bishop e3. So we want to white probably. You see, important. Took care of b4. The knight cannot jump. b4 cannot be played by black. Or maybe b4 can be played. And now it's time to transfer the bishop to a better square, maybe to c5.
Yes.
To put some pressure, right? So And it should be said that c5 is such a natural place for the bishop because it cannot be attacked by the knights, right?
Yes, this is why in the endgame, like this very open endgame, bishop is better than knight, because if my bishop goes to c5, your knight should play maybe 3 or 4 moves to capture it, and I just easily one move come back and find another space, another square. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is quite interesting concept. And you know, I wanted to talk about you. So both players are part of the national team, right?
Yes.
And how do so they play? Obviously, since they play in those tournaments together, how do they practice together? How do they work together? Is there some camps before the important events?
Yes.
How does it go?
I think before, I think they work just individual when normal times. But for example, the Olympiad or World Teams comes, and they, of course, the member of Chinese women team, and they will have a camp before the maybe 2 weeks or maybe 1 month. I'm not very sure, but at least 2 weeks, and they will work together and see some openings and see some middle games. I'm not really sure about their training method because I cannot be in there, but I'm sure they will have a camp before almost all the big event, team event.
So they also know each other very well, even not only from playing against each other, but even from the national team.
Yes.
And I suggest that we take a look at the interview that Anna Cantane took with the head coach of the Chinese national team, Nihua. Let's take a look.
这次的情况跟之前肯定是不一样的，我自己的心态肯定也是不一样的。那之前就是作为居文君的教练，而且呢，我的对手都是国外的选手偏多一些，那么准备的会比较细致。那么这一次的比赛都是我们中国的队员，那这2个都是国家队我的队员，所以说呢，我会以一个更加轻松的心态来面对这么一个比赛，来看看我的队员在这次比赛中会发挥的如何。那我想，这个比赛最终的结果无论如何都是我们中国国际象棋的胜利。2位棋手他们的成长轨迹以及他们的风格还都是不太一样的。那居文君呢，我可能更加熟悉一点。那么我跟他也是上海队的曾经的队友。那他从小从一个普通的棋手慢慢成长上来，到了国家队，然后最终是3次获得世界冠军，也为中国的奥林匹克团体赛夺冠立下了功了。那雷霆杰呢，其实我对他也是比较了解。在他大概15岁左右的时候，其实我就看到他在做认真的训练，在很小的时候，他就做很专业的一些训练吧，那么他们的棋风呢，居文君相对来说偏向于更稳健一些，那雷霆杰的下法呢更加的积极主动一些，那可以说这是一场矛与盾的较量，在我看来，我们中国女队的成绩大家都有目共睹。那我本人其实呢，也是跟女队有很多的这个联系所在。那么我们大家都知道，第1位世界冠军是谢军老师。那我自己本人呢，也是在谢军老师夺得世界冠军之后，才开始学棋，进入国际象棋这个殿堂的。那么包括我们后面的冠军，很多世界冠军，包括像许玉华，他现在我们是国强部的副主任，那曾经也是我的队友，我们互相以前也是在一起训练，也是非常熟悉。那么这里也想提一下，我们现在我们的这个领导田宏伟老师，她也是作为一个女性，那这里不得不提就是 女性在我们中国国际象棋界是非常伟大的一个存在。那这次比赛我也看到了，我们赛事负责人也是一位女性。那我不得不说，女性在国际象棋扮演一个非常重要的角色。那么，在这里呢，就提一下我未来的工作吧。我觉得后面我们最重要的比赛其实是亚运会的比赛。那么作为一个团体赛事，我作为教练肯定会比目前这个个人赛自己2个队员来说更加的去关注他们。所以说下一个我的这个工作的重心会放在这个比赛上。另外来说，从长远来说，我想我们这个事业也需要传承。我希望有更多更好的青少年棋手加入到我们中国国际象棋队来。应该说这个比赛对我们意义非凡吧。丁立人，我想通过这个比赛证明了他应该是一个里程碑式的人物。我们这个梦想最后的一块拼图，由丁立人来完成。那么他在比赛之前呢，我们协会也是给丁立人配备了最好的团队、最好的后勤保障，让他没有心无旁骛的去投入到这个备战之中。那在比赛中呢，其实也是有很多困难，因为他的对手也非常强。那好在他克服了各种困难，最终取得了这个冠军。那我想对于我们所有国际象棋人来说，这是一个最重要的时刻吧。我也很高兴能够在有生之年看到我们中国的男棋手在个人领域上获得冠军。那我想通过这个比赛呢，也激励了我们更多年轻的一些男棋手，也会让更多的孩子来学习国际象棋。那我想对于世界的国际象棋来说，这也是一件意义非凡的事情。我期待有生之年我能够看到下一刻有中国棋手夺冠的这一天。
Indeed, very impressive what the Chinese Chess Association managed to do in the past couple of decades.
Yes.
You guys are taking over the world, you know, in all the categories. Chapeau, really very impressive. And you know, I witnessed. I come from Israel, and last November we had the World Team Championship being held in Jerusalem, and China sent not even I think it was the 3rd team by rating, a very young team, and they still managed to win the World Championship against a very strong opposition. So. And the future is bright, indeed, and not only the future and only the present. And of course, we have these two contenders who are spectacular. And Shu, we were saying that Ju Wenjun is feeling more comfortable in such kind of positions, and she has this option, hope of outplaying her opponent.
Yes.
But we see that Lei Tingjie is playing extremely fast, very confident, and very well so far. She is basically improving her position. I would say that the past 7 moves,
Yes.
they went into Black's favor until now. What's your impression so far?
I think after Lei Tingjie has found some plans in this position. For example, bishop e4. First is you cannot play bishop e2 here. You can play bishop e2, but bishop e2, bishop d3 is 3.
Yeah, it should be said that Black is very happy with the draw.
Yes. So if you don't play bishop e2, after bishop e4, I think White cannot improve the position. Actually, for example, as the game played, Ju Wenjun played bishop b6 and rook d7.
A very cold-blooded move. Yes.
Yes, and now for Black, I think if you take.
At first, I jumped. What happens? Is she blundering a piece? But of course, the bishop on d1 is misplaced. Or not misplaced, but in this case, it is hit by the rook. Yes, sir.
And if you do not want to play, of course you do not want to play rook e4. Then next, knight f5 and bishop d5 will be Lei Tingjie's plan, I think. And
she took on
she took on e4.
Took on e4.
Yes, a big surprise.
Basically, she admits that she cannot make progress with the bishops on the board, and now she wants to try and use the fact that white. I think the only thing that she now has going in her favor is the slightly overextended queen side for black.
Actually, this position, I really wonder who is better here.
Yes, and this is a very also a very good point, because white's position is not also not flawless, right?
Yes. And what I want to say it before is, if Lei Tingjie managed to play knight f5 and bishop d5, you need to always be careful on the king side.
Ah, yes. So for instance, let's say if we didn't take, just bear with us for a second. For instance, we play this, and the bishop goes here, and then knight f5. Yes.
Yes. So I think, okay, maybe this is not the best move for black, but after this, you need to be careful on the king side. And if you don't play g3, maybe I will take on h4 in the future, bishop f3 and knight h4 maybe in the future. But if you play the g3, you will give black to play some, maybe even if bishop f3 is possible, knight e5, knight d3, knight g4, there's too many squares.
And there you get your jumpy knights. All of a sudden they jump everywhere from all the corners, and
yes, and my knight on f5 or g4 or too many squares is better than your c5 bishop.
So yeah, and this might have been the reason why Ju Wenjun decided to exchange those bishops and try to play on the weakened dark squares. But as you said, I'm not sure it's enough. I'm not sure it's even better for white, as you said. Yes. How do we play here for black?
You know, there is a fan that said that asked us, knights or bishop, which pair of knights or pair of bishops, which do we prefer? In this position, I prefer
the pair of knights. Yes. Well, there is no more pair of bishops, so there's only one pair left on the board. How do we play it for black here?
I think.
Yeah,
you go first, Alik.
I wanted to ask you, do we want to, for instance, to force white to play g3? Oh, sorry, we cannot do this. Okay, so my question is out of the window.
But if we have this chance, for example, white plays some knight h2, if we can play rook g1 to force you play g3, I will go for it.
We want to do it. I also agree, because, well, as we said, we want as many pawns on the dark squares as possible.
Yes.
Right? And actually, in this specific scenario, the pawn on h4 kind of creates this favorable for black formation, right? Because you can you cannot undo it. You cannot play h3, g4 now. So you will have to somehow deal with the pawns, place the pawns on the dark squares, on the king side at least. How about queen side?
I think on the queen side, the c6 knight is a very big defender. Because, for example, if you play a4, I just ignore you, and after a takes b5, a takes b5, you can not move any pieces to close to this b5 pawn.
As we said, yes, as we said, these are with the pawn and the knight. This is a very known formation that kind of creates this blockage on those 4 squares.
Yes.
But I would still argue that a4 is very much in my plans as white, because it would make this b5 pawn more vulnerable. So I would at least be able to somehow maybe try to transfer the knight to c3 and somehow create, and if the knight ever goes back, just for as an example, because we have plenty of time. Let's say black goes somewhere here. We play a4. Black doesn't do anything. Then we take, and then, for instance, we play already king a3, and now we have already created a threat to take on e7 to force the knight away, and now the king jumps, and the bar apparently says, "Oh, this is beautiful." So. Looks like white has made a lot of progress, right?
Yes.
We are about to hit this pawn, but all of a sudden there is again coming back to the question of scary knights. So this is a very scary knight, because the knight check jumps with a check. You cannot take the pawn because there is this very annoying fork on c3, but even worse, you cannot go to a5, because with the check, look at this fantastic knight. It covers both squares, forces you to go here, and then hits you from another square.
It actually covers 3 squares.
Yes, it covers the whole board. So in those kinds of positions, this is exactly a great demonstration of how strong a knight can be, right? This knight in the center is like, it's controlling everything, like this octopus, right? It's just having all the squares under control. And here, actually, white would be in a big trouble, because, for instance, after a move like king a3, we can play rook check, and then we go here.
Yeah, you cannot play rook e2. My knight.
And knight comes from the other side, and you hit the g pawn, and this is one beautiful knight. And here, if you want to make a point, even this is not a good move, but just to show how strong the knight can be sometimes. And this is a very very impressive work by the knight.
The knight is travel around the world.
Unbelievable, yeah. This is. So, in the game, Lei Tingjie played rook d5. She doesn't. So she does not give her opponent even the chance to breathe, to recoup her forces, to play or not to play a4. Lei does not want to check all that. Does not want to allow that. Straight and to the point. What is this guy doing here? Do you want it to on c5? Then please play b4. I will be happy to see b4 on the board.
Yes.
If not, then please go away.
Yes, I think let's just ignore go away, because I really don't think Ju Wenjun will play bishop e3 here. And if you play b4, it means c4 square is for the black knight, and a4 is never impossible, at least for a few times, and black will play for a win, I'm sure, in this
here position. Absolutely here, this is exactly how you lose these positions with white. You end up, and this is actually a very valid point, because when you try to overpush and you put your pawns on one, for instance, here you put your pawns on one side on one color of the squares, and then your opponent manages to exchange the wrong bishop for you. Then you left with strategically a very dubious position all of a sudden. And this might happen here. Of course, b4 will not be played today. Don't even hope for it, because it is Ju Wenjun, the world champion, playing as white. She knows that all those principles, of course, but she's not having a very easy time today, does she? So one thing she could do is just to exchange if she wants to kind of bail out with a draw, or maybe, you know, maybe this is the best she can try to achieve here, is to exchange this bishop and try to still go with the king, basically claiming that if you play, for instance, a move like a5, I was going to suggest a4 followed by king c4.
Yes.
Is this a move? So this, I feel that this would be somehow an attempt to play for a win for black?
Yes.
For white, sorry?
For white, yes. But a5.
But maybe maybe a5 is not needed. Maybe we can just play knight c6 again.
Yes, I really love the knight on c6.
To this defensive maneuver of.
Yes, and maybe if I play black, I just rook c5 next, and when you play the king b2, I play rook d5.
Yeah, and just say, and now what?
Yes.
And can we keep the bishop? Because the fewer pieces are left on the board, the fewer the chances, of course, we will have.
Of course, I think bishop e3 is a move, but I want to say bishop e3 is really overpushed, because if black don't play rook d5, actually knight f5 is a move, is a good move. And if you play bishop e3, I play for example, knight f5. I think the point you play bishop e3 is not to exchange the bishop, so you will go back here again. Yes, I know this is not good, but
you don't win games like that, right?
Yes,
so
really don't.
So really not so easy to see. And you know, black, I wanted to say that black could even try to somehow force white into playing before.
Yes.
But probably it's also not enough, because white will always have
king c2, bishop
an option
c3.
to kick the rook out from here, or just play bishop c3. And I actually feel that the bishop on c3 is very well positioned, especially after black has played g6.
Yes.
So this is interesting. How Ju Wenjun will find the best way for her to keep trying. To keep trying at least to get some chances at least for a win. Do you think, what are your impressions from Lei's game so far?
I think she really not only defends. I think this game is not a game she defends. She play every move just to make her position better. And this actually this what she said in the conference. She said she just like the good pieces, and I think she did it in this game. So I'm really surprised that she has performance very well in the first half.
First half of the match. And actually, I think that psychologically today, again, the game is not over. It can everything can still happen, and we can see that actually Ju Wenjun did go for what we consider to be her best maybe chance. Oh, and a4 is an important move. We'll just consider it in a second. But I wanted to say that psychologically, today's game, if Lei continues to hold to play so confidently, and the game ends in a draw, it might be very discouraging for Ju Wenjun, because this is a theory. This is her theory, her territory, right?
Yes.
She feels that if she has an advantage somewhere, it's this kind of positions. So.
Yes, this, for example, let's say in the European League of Football, there's one home and one game in home and one game in
abroad. Yes, away, yes.
And for example, let's say you lost 0 against 1 in the home, you will feel really disappointed.
Absolutely. Even you know what? Even 0-0 at home, you don't. You want better than this, right?
It's not a happy result. So and I think the more than this, Lei Tingjie's performance really gives Ju Wenjun big challenge.
Yes, yes. Again, you know, today's game is no less, to me. Again, we might be a bit ahead of ourselves. The game is still going on, but so far, I'm very impressed by the game, by Blacks.
Yes, because Ju Wenjun seems and Ju's team seems prepared the good opening, which Ju Wenjun is has better skills in this kind of opening and endgame position, but seems Lei Tingjie still can hold until now, at least we said. It's not a good thing for Ju, I think.
Yeah, it's not even, you know what, I would say that it's not the fact that she holds, but the way she does it, right? Very confidently, very like rock solid. And so A4, I wanted to touch on this. So we spoke about King C3, but A4 is actually, I think it's a better move because it prevents Black from playing A5 altogether. So for instance, A5, I would not be too happy to play. Maybe it is possible, but here I would feel that I'm giving White too more than she deserves to be, so to speak, right? Because it would create some kind of a weakness to play against, and I really don't feel that I want this. And Lei Tingjie also doesn't feel that. She wants this formation that we spoke about with the knight on c6. Again, hitting all those important squares, and now after a takes b5,
a takes b5. Yes, just as you said, Alik, rook b5 will give White some, will give weakness for White. Yes.
Just imagine. So the difference between this formation where White can penetrate here, right? Because both of our pieces, actually all three of our pieces, are staring at one square and not protecting all the others. So it's kind of a cheesy Swiss cheese kind of position, right?
Yes.
Whereas with the pawn on b5, we complement each other, and it is always a good idea to do so. So here it's a very important concept. With this knight and pawn, they often are able to hold even being a pawn down. This is kind of a strategy that you could see, right? That you can make a draw with even much deficiency, much bigger deficiency in material. And here, I would say that the position dries out with almost every move. Lei Tingjie very confidently brings the game to equality, to total equality.
Yes.
How shall we play g5 already, or creating counterplay, or do we not need this at all? As you said, maybe we can just start asking questions.
I think if rook c5 played in the game, maybe just 3-time repetition, because I really don't see how white can continue the game.
Yeah, it kind of looks a little bit, well, not a little bit, a lot drawish already.
Yes. But actually,
would you consider Rook F5 here?
Yes,
Or
I
not
actually, if I play for black here, I really think G5 is a move to play on, or maybe Rook F5. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so the point of what we are talking about, guys, is we want to play G5. For instance, if you are careless, then G5.
If you think it's already draw, I can play it.
And all of a sudden, you have to solve some issues.
Yes.
Yeah?
No, you need to be very careful now.
Yeah, because make a move now, right? So you can take, probably you can play, you cannot play G4
yes,
because the knight is hanging. And G4 is a very, very real threat. So you basically would have to resort to going back with the rook, and then I'm not sure I even want to play so fast G4.
Maybe H4 with
maybe H4
threat.
with the threat of H3. Yes, very. And just to give you an example, for instance, if you are careless for a second, you get hit. Rook takes F3, knight D4. Again, the mighty knighty, hitting the rook, and this is a winning. Absolutely winning position for black. The king goes here. These pawns are protected, and white will have to be here with the queen, with the king forever, whereas black will just go on.
Yes, and just go on.
Pick up all the, and I think the grandmaster way to do this is to play something like that.
Yes.
Then we triangulate a little bit. Yes.
And the king F4, king G2 with just easily H3. Yes.
Oh yeah, this is the easiest way to win here is just to take. Then we take here, we promote the pawn. Of course, it will not happen, but G5 is on the board.
I like this move.
And Lei Tingjie is putting pressure on Ju Wenjun. So all of a sudden it's white, I think, that needs to show. Of course, it is not even any kind of a danger for
yes,
white.
of course.
But also not for black.
Yes.
That has to be said, right?
So here, white actually need to be careful. You cannot play G4 here. Maybe someone who is careless, he said he thinks after G4 I can exchange all these 4 pawns and goes to a draw, but black can play H takes G4, Rook G4, and Rook F5. And here you, if you move your knight, I just take on F2. If you play Rook G3, the point for black is to play Rook F3. And you take, I will play knight D4. It's the same idea of we just analyzed it before.
Yes, it's beautiful.
So white here cannot play G4, and the Rook F5 and G4 idea does make some
quite a little bit unpleasant.
Yes. I just give you some problems for you. You need to be careful here.
I think I would start by moving my king away from C2 because it gets hit so many times. And the question is, do we want to first take on G5 or do we keep? You know, and yesterday Ju Wenjun took on B4 and it was a big mistake. It turned out to be on the other side of the board. She exchanged the pawns. Of course, the position is so much different between today and yesterday. But those things, as a chess player, they sit somewhere at the back of your head, right?
Yes.
And they suddenly pop out in those kind of
and
situations.
I want to say a thing in the in the conference after the round 2, I remember you asked the Lei Tingjie and Ju Wenjun a question of why you do not play bishop c6. And
yes.
Actually, I think their answers seems like they really don't mention this move, but it's really hard to find bishop c6, bishop f6 to give up 2 bishops to take on d5.
Yes, yes, it was.
And you know, in the 3rd game, Lei Tingjie played bishop c6. When the position we all think she will play bishop a4 in the Berlin defense.
Yes.
Yes.
Surprised us
Yes.
a lot.
It's influenced her some
The previous game, yeah,
her decision.
where previous experiences basically they define us and affect, especially recent experiences, they affect our thread of thinking. If you are white, what do you do here?
I think I really.
You cannot offer a draw. A reminder.
Yes.
A reminder, you cannot do that. Until move 40, there is a rule, guys, if you don't know, the players are not allowed to offer draws before move 40, unless it's a theoretical draw like a stalemate or a repetition.
Repetition, yes. And actually, if we are playing a match in a tournament, like we are at the same level, when black played g5, it's really not a good sign to offer a draw, because g5 means he wants to or she wants to push for a win, and you ask for a draw. It's really not very good, and I think it will be.
It shows weakness.
Yes, shows weakness, and your opponent will not agree it. So here maybe I will go for king c3. If you go rook f5, I go rook e2. I don't want to exchange this pawn. I want to keep it, but maybe it's not good. I have to.
Okay, but let's play on. So I go. If I play g4, you
I
want to play knight d4?
No, knight d4 seems. I'm not sure. I need to.
Let's show it. Yeah?
Yes,
G4?
if g4, I think knight d4 is not possible. Maybe rook c5.
Yes.
King d3.
So I managed to lose this game in 2 moves. Yes. Rook d5.
Rook d5.
Way? Yeah.
Yes, I have to rook e4.
And f5, and all of a sudden the rook. Look at this rook. The rook will be cannot get out of there.
Yes.
And king f6,
King f6.
probably, yes.
And here I find a plan for black. And for example, if you play king e3, maybe knight e7, and then knight. But the bar said I'm totally wrong.
No, maybe we have this is also very good, but maybe we even had some forced way to win here. I'm not sure yet.
Oh, I see the bar. And maybe you can try to find the move. Because I see the engine. I know what is the move. It's very beautiful wing.
Okay, please show. I honestly don't see.
It's knight b4. The point of knight b4 is white cannot move any pieces.
Oh, wow. Knight e2 is checkmate. Wow, this is beautiful.
And
in the middle of the end game, in the middle of the board.
Yes, and I really want to show this this line. If white play f3, the computer said rook e5 maybe. Yes, rook e5 maybe also winning, but I think g3 is the most beautiful move to finish the game.
This is beautiful, yes. And again, this is a Zugzwang. Look at this, 3 white pieces. All of them, they have. The rook has no moves. The knight has a 4. Well, the knight has a few moves, but all of them are losing immediately.
Yes.
The only move which does not lose like in 1 move, but only in 2, is king d2.
Yes. But
and here after king d4, king e5, just look at this beautiful domination by black pieces, and the final blow. Rook takes d4, and again the the mighty knighty wins the rook with the beautiful wow knight b4. This is an amazing resource, but it has to be said that you kind of started getting the feeling that in that position, white was in big trouble already, right?
Yes. And Alik, please put it in the recap.
Yes.
Yes.
This would be probably the main highlight of today's game.
Yes.
So, and Ju Wenjun took on g5.
Yes.
Probably one of the ideas is to not to make sure you don't get into something like this. When you have no moves for your pieces, and knight goes to d2. What is this move? Where does she want to go?
I think she just want to get rid of this pin, to play knight d2 first, because
this is it.
Yes, that's what that's the reason I can only explain this position.
And if we still play rook f5?
I think f3 is the only move here. Yes, f3 is
F3
just
is
the only move. Yes.
I have, okay, but let's say that we pretend Lei Tingjie. I love her game posture. You know, she's so concentrated when she's thinking. Like, you know, sometimes when I look at her during the game, it feels as if there's nothing else in the universe for her except for the board, you know.
And actually, she says it in the interview yesterday, I think, maybe after round 4. I remember she says some words like this.
Yes, when right. She was asked, I think,
something like
about their friendship, if it interferes, or maybe I'm wrong, and she said, no, because when I'm at the board, chess is such a beautiful game. I think about nothing else but about chess.
Yes.
I think, something
and
like that.
Something like nothing I need to worry about. I just
that she answered yesterday about how she improved during the pandemic, right?
Yes.
And she said, as a professional chess player, when you have no tournaments and nothing else to do, and you don't have to worry about anything. My life is good, she said, right? So I only have to worry about chess. And she worked very noticeably. She worked quite a lot, as we said, on chess. And now she is every game. It feels that she is improved in all the aspects of the game.
Yes.
Totally impressive. And so this, the current position is this one.
Knight d2, yes.
After knight d2, maybe Ju Wenjun wants to transfer her knight to e4.
Yes.
It would be well placed there, but again, I find it hard to find a really any chances for to even try to play for a win for white. I think if anybody, then black is the only one who can even try to play for a win here.
For the pawn style on the king side, it's the biggest advantage for black.
Yes, and because well, the pawns are more advanced, and as we said, you know, we said that white has the advantage because her king is closer to where the action is, but now the action is on the other side, so not so much.
And actually, black's king is close to the king side.
And exactly, that's also a point. Lei Tingjie is, and another point that goes in her favor is that she has 46 minutes against 14 for Ju Wenjun. It's not very important, maybe in the context of 40 moves, because we only have 4 moves to make or 5 moves to make. It's plenty of time for Ju Wenjun. I wanted to say it might be important later on in the game, but the way this position looks, it might not be important. Also, too important. Also later on, because it does seem fairly equal altogether. And what do you think? What do you think Ju Wenjun is thinking about now?
I think
because I'll just give you some context of why I'm asking. Because she's sitting you know, leaned away from the table. Did she give up on her attempts to win, you think, or is she still hoping?
I think in this position, I think she has to. I think she has to be accept that she cannot win today, because I really can really not imagine that Lei Tingjie can lose in this position. So I think for her, maybe just forget these 2 days, because yesterday is really not a nightmare for her, and today maybe the position seems very drawish. At least now she will think she thought maybe it will be a draw, and forget about these 2 days. We still have 6 rounds.
6 rounds to go. Absolutely, we still have 6 rounds to go, and all the fight is ahead of us.
Yeah.
You know, I suggest we take a look at an interview with our chief arbiter, Anastasia Sorokina. She's also the chairwoman of the Women's Commission, of FIDE's Women's Commission. Let's take a look at what she has to say. Very interesting.
Anastasia, thank you for joining me. You are the chief arbiter at the World Championship match. Does it feel very special?
Hello, Anna. Thank you so much to invite me, first of all. Yes, of course, it's always something special. Even it's my second time to be a chief arbiter here in China. And I was a deputy chief arbiter once in Lviv in Ukraine. But you always feel special, you know, like special, it's special meanings, not only feelings for the arbiter to be a chief arbiter in such a high-level event, of course.
As you mentioned, you are one of the most experienced arbiters in the chess world. You've been at so many events. So what are the next goals or achievements for you? What are you planning?
Actually, I have only 2 events that I haven't done in my chess career. It's a match, but for men, and Olympiad. But Olympiad, I can say this is the most difficult event. So I don't, even now when I have such a big experience as an arbiter, I don't feel I want to be a chief arbiter, because it's a really, really hard, you know, so I have a lot of respect to my colleagues who achieve to do it.
So what are the main challenges or differences compared to, for example, Olympiad, World Championship match, or some regular big open?
Okay, first of all, okay, so many players, so many countries, you know, there is some restrictions as well. So it's difficult not only to judge, to be an arbiter, but also coordinate to all arbiters. It's so many match arbiters, sector arbiters, and yeah, it's a great event, but where I prefer to be in another role, not as an arbiter.
All right. Great. And from the arbiter's perspective, what developments or changes would you like to see in 5-10 years from now?
That's difficult to say, you know, like from arbiter perspective, I can say that I really like the arbiter who is working, you know, every year, that we will pass an exam, because, you know, the life is changing so fast, you know, we have this new fair play restrictions, fair play rules, and other things that I think you should follow, you know, even new clocks, new digital things, and new boards. So arbiter should be on site, you know, arbiter should know the changes of the regulations and also, you know, equipment. This is from arbiter side. From other side, as a chair of FIDE Women Commission, of course I want to see that one day finally we have equal prizes for men and women tournaments, and women compete with the men in the match, and I will be an arbiter in this match.
Wow, nice. This is a beautiful goal, and you actually jumped, because that was my next question to you from the arbiter perspective. That's one thing, but exactly, you're a chairwoman in FIDE Women's Commission, which is very connected also to this match. And now we know already your goal plans for the next year about that. But can you tell us a little bit about the achievement? Because last year was your women in chess, and now we have a match for the first time in a couple of years. So what were the main achievements? What are you the most proud of in recent months from the achievements of the Commission?
Okay, for the Commission and for all ladies in chess, I believe that it was not only 1 year women in chess, you know, it's each year, it's a women in chess year, but this year we have a few new interesting projects. One of them is All for Chess, Chess for All, and we try to involve as many ladies all around the world to play chess, and we did some events already in Asia, Oceania, Europe, America. We have plans for Africa for this year, and we are, as a side event of the match, also we are doing, as a Women Commission, we are organizing Queen's Festival that already started, and we had finished 2 divisions, Europe and Africa. So, and today is America, and we will have a final next weekend. So we'll see who will achieve the first prize in Queen's Festival and Princess Festival, and who could visit next Olympiad in Hungary, in Budapest.
Amazing. Yeah, this is a real thing, because I even invited some of my students also participate.
Thank you. So, that's good.
Yeah, girls all over the world can use this opportunity. And on this positive note, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me and for sharing all those things. And have an amazing time on the remaining days.
Thank you. Thank you, Anna. Thank you.
Which of the two will fight to the end and become the new queen? Which of the two will resist the pressure and finally hold the trophy of the victory? Which of the two will inherit the glory of the East? Very soon the battle of wisdom is about to begin. A breathtaking confrontation across the chessboard is imminent.
那我觉得每一次对抗赛都是不同的。我的目标就是认真的去消耗每一
Ju
盘棋。
Wenjun has a really strong heart. She will excel at seizing any opportunity. Her willpower will be released on the chessboard, determined to retain her title and stay at the
以
top.
前的比赛每一场棋其实都会是难忘的，但是我觉得在接下来的这场比赛将会是我职业生涯当中最难忘的一场比赛。
Lei Tingjie is the new challenger. She will fight for every inch of the board, eager to showcase her fresh energy and aspiration. 2 strong players from the mysterious East, the best teammates and toughest opponents. On the stage of 64 white and black squares, they will demonstrate their best performance and unveil unlimited exciting possibilities.
2018年，我第一次拿到了女子世界冠军。2020年对戈尔亚奇金娜那一次对抗赛，在快棋中扳平比分，在后代加赛中战胜对手。每一次对抗赛它都是不同的，但对我来说，我的目标就是去认真的去下好每一盘棋。不管是在棋上，包括在生活上，我觉得我可能要比之前的稳重一点吧，不能说成熟，更稳重一些。现在来说，我也做好准备去迎接这一次的挑战。It's kind of different because when you know your opponent, she knows you well. So for me, I feel it's something new. I mean, in this match, every game is I will do my best. I think I will just try to play every game as best as I can, and also I hope I can to win the match. 战斗到底是我不变的信念和态度，成功卫冕，让属于自己的时代继续。
来了以后呢，心里面也是挺开心的，相当于是打了一个强心剂。每一场棋其实都会是难忘的，但是我觉得在接下来的这场比赛将会是我职业生涯当中最难忘的一场比赛。I think play against a friend is quite interesting, and also for me, she's not only the friend, and she's also a great player in China. So for me, I just respect her very much. I would like to challenge myself. To be honest, because this is my dream, I would like to say I want to win this match. Now probably it's the last step. No, I don't think this is the last step. I prefer to be a simple person. Winning the match is like a goal for me. I mean, I'm a person who likes enjoying to play chess. Results can't change anything for me. 用挑战去创造另一种可能，因为无畏，所以无惧。
Welcome back, everybody, to the remainder of Game 6 between the world champion Ju Wenjun playing white, trying to equalize against the challenger Lei Tingjie. It's not going her way so far in this game. And also in the whole match, she is the world champion is trailing. And while we were watching the interviews of Anastasia Sorokina and the initiatives that are going on, the improvements that are going on in women's chess, is a very welcoming initiative on all kind, and we can see it. Many tournaments are being held, and there's obviously still a lot to be done. But the good news is that FIDE understands it and it pushes all those projects forward. These are very good news. And while we were watching the interviews, 2 more pieces disappeared from the board.
Yes.
And the rooks are gone. Only the knights are left, and
only 3 pawns left.
And only 3 pawns left. The position is, I would say, as drawish as it could be. Yeah. Of course, the knights always add this a little element of uncertainty, right? You can blunder some forks, etc. But I would argue not in this position. For instance, if black plays king g6, we should probably consider white attacking the pawn, or even I would even say even from here.
And if I play knight c3, maybe you need to be careful about h4. And after, if you play knight b5, then g4.
Oh yes, all of a sudden this. And again, you remember yesterday, white exchanged on the other side of the board. She allowed Lei Tingjie, Ju Wenjun allowed Lei Tingjie to push the a pawn on the other side of the board, and here the h pawn can run forward, but. It really, of course, nobody is going to take this pawn far away and allow this breakthrough.
And I think white.
How do we make sure no surprises happen here with white?
I think for white, yes, I want to say king d2, and Ju Wenjun does play it.
Yes.
Just
please explain what is the point of king d2.
Yes. First, on the queen side, I think black can never. First, I want to say white is the player who need to make a draw in this position, and on the queen side, that black cannot win this pawn. For example, let's see. If knight c6, and if I play king e3, and maybe you said knight a5, maybe take the pawn, but I can just go knight c3.
And liquidate even more.
Yes, and even maybe white has more opportunities better than knight c3, but at least knight c3 gives a draw. So what I need to do is only to make sure you cannot play h pawn and promote to a queen. Maybe you can play like g4.
But how does king help there?
Yes, for example, g4 and king e2. If you play h4, I can actually what I want to say is to play king f1, but maybe f3 here is better. But if I play, I will go for king f1. And then if you play h3, I can take, and my king will be on just in time. But maybe this is not the best move. Because it seems like.
Yeah, I wanted to say that, for instance, in this setup, if the king ends up on in the corner, So we basically managed to put it in a cage, right?
Yes,
the king is in a cage.
It's in a cage.
But unfortunately, of course, for black, the only position that the knight cannot stay, right? Because the white knight will start attacking this pawn on b5.
If black has one more piece, maybe white will be checkmated.
Yeah, absolutely, but not this time. Anyway, Ju Wenjun decides, and I think rightly so, she wants the king more active, and she puts the king on e3.
Yes,
and from e3 it also can stop the pawns.
Yes, and Lei Tingjie actually here played the knight c6.
Yes.
But Alik, you said it right. If black don't play knight c6, if play like g4, as we said, I can play king e3 and h4, then king f4.
Yes, again, so it's black. All of a sudden, it's black who overpushed and is losing because the knight is hanging. And it has to be said that this h3 pawn, you cannot really push h3 yet, because after take, white can still take the knight, and we are in the last moment, but still enough to catch the pawn before promotion.
Yes. So actually, with the idea king e3, king f4, this is the really right idea.
Yes.
And so Lei Tingjie played the knight c6, and I think this is a sign to just say, I also
I agree. I agree with this. So do you expect this to happen, or?
I think knight a5, maybe knight c3, or instead of b4. That's the same.
Yeah, it will probably it's the same. And another question is, do we expect them to play until the naked kings, or?
Yeah.
Because often players like to exchange everything after a fighting draw. Or will they just repeat, or maybe after move 40 they can even agree to a draw already?
I want to imagine that they will play to king against king, or maybe king and the knight against king, just something like this, but not go for a draw offer after 40 moves. I think that's what I thought, but I'm not sure.
This is interesting how it will go. I don't think anybody can push for any kind of advantage anymore. So we can maybe start. Maybe it would be too early. I don't know, but. What are we to expect in the second half in Chongqing?
Yes.
First of all, we have to say that there will be 2 free days between those two two halves of the match, because the players will need 1 day to move for travel, and another day to kind of get your thoughts and things together to make sure. To recharge the batteries and be ready for the exciting and the most important part of the match, right? The second half, as in football, or as you said, the right analogy. You have the home game, and then you have the away game.
Yes. And I thought the match will be more unbalanced than the first half.
There will have to be, right? Because when and we spoke before the round, we spoke about when Ding was he was trailing. I think after game 8 and 9, he was trailing by 1 point.
Yes.
And he was asked at the press conference if he feels that he needs to to push already, to push hard. And he said, no, I still have 4 or 5 games to go.
Yes.
It's still plenty of time, so I don't feel the pressure to do that. Do you think that Ju Wenjun also doesn't feel the pressure to do something fast, or she will, in the second half, she will have to?
I think for, let's say for today, I don't see that pressure for her in today's game, because it seems Ju Wenjun can accept for a draw. Of course, she plays for a win, but not in a very attacking way.
Yes.
But in the second half, if they draw 3 games, 4 games, or maybe 3 games, I really think the pressure is coming, because Ding wins the 10th game.
Yeah, it was crucial because
yes, and if he cannot manage to win this game, it's
actually he was on the verge of losing this
yes.
game, and had he lost this game, the chess history might have been very different.
Yes.
Because boy, he would go to -2, and it has to be said that actually now, game 6, Lei Tingjie will play white. Sorry, game 7, she will play white. And that means that every black game for Ju Wenjun, especially game 7 for Ju Wenjun, it will be a game that if she loses, it's a big trouble for her.
Yes. Maybe Ju Wenjun can accept a draw against Lei with black pieces, just
yes.
as the same as Nipple and the Ding.
Absolutely, yes. And we can see knight a5 was played, knight c3 played by Ju Wenjun. This basically, as we said, this probably will end up in all the pawns on the queen side being exchanged, leaving absolutely no chance for either side to make progress. Lei Tingjie is not capturing on b4 on b3.
Yes.
She is taking her time, considering maybe play b4, but which actually also shows that she's not rushing into making a draw,
yes,
right?
Yes.
She's checking and psychologically putting some pressure,
yes.
some more pressure on Ju Wenjun.
Yes,
saying
it's something out of the board. It's some
exactly.
Yes.
This is much more than on the board. These are already psychological games, mind games, if you will.
Yes.
So I think, but the one important thing to note is that the last game, game number 12, Ju Wenjun will be white. So she might she might feel that she doesn't need to rush anything, even until because even in the last game she will still have white, and she will, if the score, even if she is trailing by 1 game,
yes,
she still will be able to equalize, although it is considered to be extremely difficult to win, that you have to win and to win in the last game of the match, but it is still possible to do, right? So,
yes.
So maybe she doesn't feel like she has to burn bridges, but I'm very impressed by the fact that Lei Tingjie still hasn't played the move. She's still considering,
still thinking
her options to continue in this clearly a totally drawish position, but she's still. What do you read from this?
I think it's a signature like I do not hurry to make a draw with you. You please don't think I'm okay. I play black. I win yesterday. I really want to have a draw. If I draw, the world is the life is so good for me. It doesn't for Lei Tingjie, it seems like she wants tell Ju Wenjun with her action is I want to fight from first from any position. Yes, this is a sign I read.
I have a message for you. Yes, world champion. Here's your message. I didn't take on b3. She played b4.
Yes. Okay.
Even if it's just for one move, but yeah. So she played b4. Actually, this makes a lot of sense because with the knight on b4, as opposed to the knight on b5.
Yes.
The white knight does not control the d4 square.
Yes, this is
for whatever reason it might be clear or not. Oh, and she plays g4. So this will lead to f takes g4.
And king g5.
King g5.
If you play king f3, I don't know 94 or 92 which is better, but seems like black is
maybe she wants to get this position.
Yes, and you know here,
as we said, maybe she calculated, as she is a great
yes,
tactical player. She might have calculated this line, which ends up in a way that all players love to end their games.
Yes,
without any pieces left on the board. This is just our guess.
Yes. And look at Ju Wenjun. She is not very happy with the result. And
yeah, but I think she had more than half an hour to get used to it,
yes,
so to speak. And I think we can see the players
finishing the game.
Finishing the game. I think we made it. Oh, Ju Wenjun played knight d3. She doesn't even try to protect
yes,
the
she
pawn.
wants to take on h4.
Yes, and she goes with the knight to g6, from where she will attack this the pawn on h4, and we will very soon see all the pawns disappear from the board, as you can see on the live board and the main board, on your video screen, which is a bit ahead of the board. So this is the final position of the game. The players signed the sheets, and Game 6 ended in a draw. A very solid performance by both players. Never really left the territory of equality. And as you said, I feel that Lei sent a very strong message today.
Yes.
A very strong message that you think that you can outplay me in those games, those long game games? Nuh-uh.
No, and if my memory is right, Lei only played yesterday bishop e6. I don't want to say even it's a mistake. In 3 games a row, she doesn't play any mistakes in 3 games.
Yeah,
from round 4.
Absolutely, this is very impressive. Well, in round 4, you might argue that she got herself into the trouble. She did make.
But I really think she
inaccuracies. Okay, I will not say mistakes, but some inaccuracies did happen.
Yes.
But all in all, yeah, extremely high quality game here. Albeit, as you might say, not very eventful, but we have all spent a lot of time on those ideas of the positions, and you said that, and you see that a lot is being left behind the scenes because the players really anticipate each other's plans and prevent them, and this was really all about that in this game.
Alik, I have a question for you. The next round, Lei Tingjie will take white, and do you think she will push for a win or just play gently?
Oh yes, no, I think she will push. It's so much not in her style to play gently. It's very much in her style to push forward, to try and use to the maximum, because she knows that a 1 point advantage is very vulnerable. You cannot really relax, and we have seen that in the Nepo match, right? 1 point is nothing, basically. It's one game, one mistake, one time trouble, and there you go. You have no advantage anymore. So she will want to capitalize, I think, on it, because she has the match initiative. She has even today's game. It builds up on her initiative, so it adds to her game and match initiative, I think. And for this reason, I think she will go, especially in her hometown. Her home advantage, so to speak. In chess, it doesn't really matter. Some players even say that it's harder for them to play at home. How do you feel, by the way, about this?
Actually, I'm a player who like to play in hometown. There are some Chinese youth championships held in Shanghai, and I win it twice, like 2018 and 19. I remember, because it's in Shanghai, and I performed better. But it's only according to me. I think different players have different feelings. They want to play home or away.
Yes, because unlike in football, for instance, when you have the crowd cheering for you, here you don't have crowd. And if you do, the fair play officer will kick the crowd away. So you don't have that, but you do have this additional pressure of people who are cheering for you, who are so sometimes it is more pressure and not less pressure in a way, and this is also important to see how Lei Tingjie will play at home in her home court.
Because sometimes it is a pressure, but sometimes it is energy for you. The people around you in Chongqing, they will support you. This gives you energy. So let's see what will happen.
As they say, at home, even the walls are helping you. So the whole even the building is helping you. But I was actually another thing that I wanted to tell you. By the way, guys, don't go anywhere. We are waiting for the players to arrive at the press conference. It will be very interesting to hear their impressions today. So bear with us until we will be with you until the very beginning of the press conference, and we are being told that it is about to begin now. So thank you for today, and stay for the press conference with the players.
Thank you.
Welcome to the press conference after round number 6. Today we had a draw, and the score is 3.5 to 2.5 in favor of Lei Tingjie. So my first question, Ju Wenjun, is to you. Some fans were surprised with the opening choice today. Can you tell us a little bit about what was your strategy going for this technical endgame?
Okay, so I just for today, just try to be in some, some end game, which maybe some chance, but maybe equal, and I feel it could be practical some chance, and that's why I played that.
Lei Tingjie, were you expecting a more aggressive opening today?
I don't know, because this is my first time to play this match, and after yesterday's game, my opponent gonna play with white today, so probably she will try to find something to play, but I mean, she can play everything, so if she plays something, then I just play. Yeah.
Thank you. Ju Wenjun, after yesterday's loss, obviously you are behind, so were you feeling the bigger pressure today to even out the score, or were you feeling more like Ding in his match saying that you still have the time and there was no rush to try to push too much for the win today?
Okay, I think it's a long match, so I just tried to play in some natural style, and then we can just keep the exciting games.
Okay, thank you. It seemed like a very solid, very good quality game. Do you think there was anything you could improve? Were there some critical moments that you think maybe there was some different choices? Lei Tingjie, let's start with you.
I don't know actually, but I think the end game probably white can play something, but for me I think the structure was okay, and I didn't have any like a weakness or something, so, and also I had like time advantage, so for me I didn't feel any pressure, and also I think the position probably, I don't know, probably I can keep like 2 knights or something. Yeah.
Going for a pair of knights. Were you thinking at all you could be playing for the win today at any point? Lei, that's to you. Follow up.
Winning chances? I don't think so, but okay, for me, black side make a draw like this, I have to say it's quite good.
Mm-hmm. Ju Wenjun, let's go back to the previous question. Is there anything you think there was possible to improve?
Okay, I think maybe very less chance for white, but sure, there could be something. I think maybe in the beginning when I played rook e1, I don't know if that's a very precise move, and then maybe it's not so like something. It looks like it's a equal position.
Rook e1, it seemed like the first move that you were thinking about after the preparation. You spent, I guess, a little bit more than 20 minutes. So what were the other things you were considering? Is there something specific you have in mind that maybe would give you better chances?
Okay, many things, but it's not so easy to find on the board. Many rook moves, and also to bishop some moves. But okay, it's it's not forcing, so there's many choices for white.
Yes, thank you. So now we are past 6 rounds, so we have halfway of the match. 6 rounds were played, 6 more to go. Looking at the previous 6 games, is there anything for the Chongqing? Sorry for the pronunciation, probably it's not correct. For this second part of the match, that you would like to improve, that you will especially focus on? Lei Tingjie, if you could start.
This is a long match, and we just finished like the first 6 games. So for the next 6 rounds, I mean, I'm just trying to play normal chess, and also wanted to play some good chess. Not like I want to win or like something. I just quite enjoy playing chess right now. So yeah.
And Ju Wenjun, for you, will there be something that you especially focus on in the next half of the tournament?
Yeah, for me, the game is still half to go, and so anything could happen. And I think, well, it will be also very tough and exciting games in Chongqing.
And is there something you're especially proud of in the first half? For example, about the quality of the games? Lei Tingjie?
Maybe after the game and my team will say you played like good chess or something, but for me like, okay, every day is a new day and I'm trying to play good chess every day, but sometimes, okay, we also make some mistakes. So when I heard that I play good chess, I'm happy. When I heard that, oh, probably you should improve or something, I was, okay, I'm trying to become better and better, yeah.
Ju Wenjun, and for you?
Okay, I think the quality overall is not so bad, but at some point, I think also some that's not so precise move, and but overall, okay, it's not satisfied, but okay, I hope in Chongqing then will improve my chess. Okay.
And yeah, my next question is about Chongqing. Are you excited about change of scenery and going there, Ju Wenjun? Are you excited to go to change a place and go to other city?
Well, I think it's fine, and I'm not so excited on like it's just normal because it's okay. I feel I'm just normal and not.
And for you, Lei, you are a leader heading back to your hometown. Is it any important for you the fact that you are leading now and going to your city?
For me, I think as a professional chess player, you just focus on to play chess. And okay, I will play in my hometown, but I mean, also playing in Shanghai is also good. So for me, it's not different.
Okay, thank you. And then we have our traditional questions from the commentators. So yeah, this one is a long one to Ju Wenjun. Our commentators noticed that in the last 2 World Championship matches, the challenger won game number 5. And also yesterday, the challenger won game number 5. And the question is whether you think that this number is somehow unlucky for the world champion. And do you think about...
Actually, before I didn't, check this... Okay, this is number 5 game thing, but I feel it's overall it's nothing to do with this game number 5. It's just okay, some coincidence, and also okay, it's a match, so both players have high ratings, so it's a win game is very possible. Yes.
All right, thank you. And a question from the commentators also late to you about the early end game. How were you evaluating it, and were there any concerns about the bishop pair, for example?
Today? I was okay for this kind of a position because if you play this opening, so there are so many positions like this. So for me, it's nothing.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the answers. And the last 2 questions from the social media. So the first one from Ivan Tapamagar. What were your favorite subjects in school and university? So we are going a little bit off chess. Can you share with us? Fans want to know a little bit more about you other than chess. So yeah, your favorite school subjects. Lei Tingjie?
Okay, sport, because it's easy.
Okay, thank you. Ju Wenjun?
Okay. Actually, well, actually, there's a subject I didn't went to, but I think it will be interesting for me, and that is bridge. Okay, bridge.
Have you played at all, or only?
No. I don't get the chance to play because it's a pair game. So you need to find some equal level player as your teammates.
Actually, it's interesting because the next question is from Marx Z. Aguilar. What are your hobbies other than chess? Lei Tingjie, let's start with you again.
Many. I like listening some music and also watching movies and do some yoga, Pilates, stuff like this. Yeah.
Sorry, the last one I didn't hear.
Pilates. Some.
Okay. Thank you. Ju Wenjun, what are the hobbies for you?
Okay. Not so much hobbies. I think, just some, something like music and also some sports. Yes.
Okay, so one last question from me, and then we'll move on to the Chinese part. Do you have a favorite sport that you do, since you both mentioned the sport part, Lei Tingjie?
My favorite sport? I think, I don't know.
Can be more than one as well, of course.
Okay. Ping pong.
All right, that's interesting. Nice. Ju Wenjun, and for you?
My favorite sports, I think, can chess account?
Okay, we know this is number one, so what about number two?
Okay. There's, okay. What do I like? Some, okay, ping pong, and also badminton.
Okay, maybe a tie break in ping pong then. And, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your answers, for your time. And now we will move on to the Chinese part of the press conference. Thank you again for your time. And Xiaobing, there you go.
Okay, first I want to add the English question, one more. How much percent you will tell the truth in the press conference? How much percent? Are you hiding some emotions and hiding something? And how many is the truth? How many is hiding something?
Can I ask first? Sure. Okay, 99.99.
99 point the truth.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, good. And Lei Tingjie?
50%.
OK， 好，那现在我们在这个中文部分，还是想请两位棋手，还是简单的谈一下今天的对局啊，简单的说一下，君君。
今天这盘棋，我觉得就是双方都是下的比较，就是比较，质量还是比较高的一盘对局吧，可能。进入残局之后，就一些招法，我试图去
给黑方一些压力，黑方也应对的不错，最后就和了。
好，雷丁姐。
觉得今天这盘棋，双方应该下的都还可以。白方试图从残局当中，尤其是双向的这个残局当中，给我制造一些麻烦。但是可能在对局当中，那个双向可能就是被限制住了，可能需要一些线路去打开。然后我在下的时候，尤其是白方，因为他需要去找方法去突破，所以可能白方会花很多时间。然后花了时间以后，对于我来讲的话，可能就会感觉到哦，这个棋可能还可以，对。然后下到后面，双方感觉就势均力敌吧，然后就和了。
好，不打扰棋手太多时间，哪位朋友有问题？雷丁姐先说。
赛前包括赛后都会看到小朋友吧，然后我会觉得，我挺羡慕他们的，因为就是在我小的时候，我是没有这样的机会的。然后，我想对他们说，希望他们珍惜当下的条件和环境，然后继续去努力，希望他们以后也会成为未来的世界冠军。然后对于赛场还有，就是组织者，我觉得上海这边就是挺好的。然后，包括在上海棋院比赛，然后我觉得就是这个环境，对我来讲的话，我觉得一切都做得很好。然后包括组织上各方面吧，我觉得就是没有什么可以挑剔的。
娟娟。
那这次确实也有很多的小棋迷来观战，那么我也希望他们能够加深对国际象棋的一种热爱和喜欢吧，然后也希望他们在今后的未来的不管是学业上还是包括下棋上都能有一个多多进步，然后多多学习。那毕竟小孩也是我们祖国的未来嘛，也希望他们能有更好的更好的机遇。好，谢谢。那这次待遇也是各方面就是怎么说呢，也是就是大家都工作组织这次都组织得非常好，然后不管是赛场包括运动员的住宿，包括一些安排都非常好。
好，其他问题？然后，朱文君。
我觉得总的来说就是，不是特别理想，因为对我来说，我觉得，可能现在毕竟也在落后嘛，所以说，我觉得自己，就是有一些棋，就是可能下的不太理想，但是，比赛也还在进行中，我觉得，我也很期待到了下半场的比赛。
雷婷姐先说一下，先总结一下。
因为是第一次参加比赛吧，然后我对这个比赛更多的是期待，而不是紧张。所以前面6盘棋下完以后，就是我关注的更多的是棋上的东西。那棋上的东西，我会觉得下了6盘棋，我能学到很多东西，这对于我来说就足够了。而对于接下来的6盘棋，我 觉得就像母姐讲的，可能会更精彩。那在更精彩的背后，那就是可能会有更多的东西我可以学到，所以我会很期待。
谁先回答？
你先回答。
我觉得就是因为是对抗赛，所以说输赢都是有可能的。那么现在我在落后，我也会在接下来的比赛中去寻找更多的可能，更多的机会去发起一些挑战和进攻。谢谢。
那个预计在第几轮把比分扳回来？
这个，这个有点，现在说有点早，好像，因为我觉得还是一盘一盘棋来吧，这个实在是现在回答有点早。
雷丁杰。
对于我来说，就是我现在比分是领先的。但我会去把这个比分想成现在是3-3，甚至我可以把它想成我是在落后的情况下，因为我会觉得这个样子会让我很舒服。我不会把自己想成是一个领先者或者说是优胜者的一个状态。我觉得我来这是下棋的，而不是我作为我自己的初衷来讲，我不是赢下比赛是初衷，但是我更想的是下棋。所以昨天赢完那盘棋以后，昨天是第5盘吧，那我可能会尽量的去把比分想成是2.5比2.5。那今天下完了以后，我会把它想成是3-3。那这样的话，我会觉得没有什么压力。如果说对手要来反扑，要来进攻，对于我来说就是一个正常的比赛。那他进攻，那我也可以进攻，对吧？那他防守，我也可以防守，就是正常下棋嘛，没有太多的压力。
那你预计在第几轮Ju Wenjun会展开猛烈的反扑？
想展开，每一盘都可以展开。那大家都可以进攻嘛，大家都可以防守嘛，所以这个东西就是，那也可以见招拆招，也可以主动出击，也可以主动防守。那每个人的策略是不一样的，所以每一盘棋可能也会更换策略。对。
好，还有其他问题吗？没有的话，我们今天的新闻发布会就到这里。谢谢2位棋手 ，Thank you Anna。